So in today's video we are gonna see what ID Deku was in Helltaker and had demon harem. MHA x Helltaker. This story is Izuku Helltaker by Marcellocaselli. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button, as your one like motivates me to bring more stories, and subscribe the channel if you are new so you won't miss our latest videos. By now, the training classes at the Uehiro High School were over and the various students could return to their dormitories or go out to have fun. The scene opens with a rocky and dark land. Everywhere you could see human bones and dull red rocks. In the distance two kinds of sounds could be seen. The first were human cries of pain and agony, and the second were monstrous roars and growls coming from creatures that not even the most sick mind could imagine. The camera then shows us a huge castle built on a hill surrounded by a lake of boiling lava that flowed through a gate at the base of the mountain. Behind the castle rose the moon, but it wasn't like a normal moon. It wasn't snow white, but reddish, and stood motionless behind the castle as if watching over it. The camera then focuses on the highest tower of the castle, inside which there was a large room with a sort of pool of tar in the center. Suddenly, from the large, open window of the tower, a huge owl-like monster entered with very long legs, even longer than its body, with clawed paws, and you could see that it was holding something square in its claws. Its eyes were dark orange without pupils, and on its head was a huge golden, pointed crown. The demonic bird looked at the tar puddle for a few seconds and then let out a blood-curdling cry. It was so loud and thunderous that it seemed to have come out of a very powerful microphone attached to equally powerful stereos. Furthermore, it wasn't exactly the cry of an owl but more of a fusion between the cry of an owl and that of a crow. A few seconds later a clawed hand emerged from the tar puddle, then an arm, then it pulled itself up, exposing the rest of the body. The creature had a humanoid shape. Its skin was dark gray tending towards black, it had a long reptilian tail, on its back were attached imposing dragon wings, its face was without a mouth and nose, its eyes were bright, and it had two pairs of horns, one pair were curved while the other looked more like tree roots. The two demons looked into each other's eyes for a few seconds before the humanoid one said in a demonic voice, "Prince Stolas, did you bring what I asked for?" The bird creature nodded and responded in a croaking voice as if it were struggling to speak. Stolas. Yes, Lord Satan, I have the Griminium Mortalis here, the most powerful of the demonic grimoires I possess. It should contain the spell you are seeking. That said, the now known Stolas opened the claws of one of his paws, letting fall gently a large book with a pentagram engraved on the cover. Satan. Perfect. He picks up the book from the floor. I've waited so long for this moment. The conditions are finally right for the ritual to be successful. So the demon turns around and snaps his fingers. Immediately after, the puddle of tar transforms into a pedestal made of rusty, sharp metal. Stolas. And what would those conditions be, if I may ask? Satan. Simple. Now there are two souls in the mortal world that interest me, one 100% pure soul and one 100% rotten soul. With this ritual, I can bring them both here and devour their souls. With their power, I can overthrow that bitch Lucifer and finally take the throne. So Satan placed the book on the pedestal, opened a page and began to recite words in an unknown language. His eyes lit up as did the words written on the pages of the book. Meanwhile, in the human world, we move to the dormitories of Class 2A, where we can see the protagonist of our story, Izuku Midoriya, the Deku hero and the ninth bearer of One for All, who at this moment was busy cooking. Behind him were some of his classmates enjoying some cookies. Mina Ashido. Wow, Midoriya. These cookies are delicious. Tenya Lita. As much as I prefer a more strict and healthy diet, I can't deny your robot-like cooking skills. Katsuki Bakugo. Where the hell did you learn to cook, nerd? Izuku. Blushes. WW. Well, you see, Kachan, a few weeks ago I went to buy a new notebook and they gave me a free cookbook, and, well, between one training session and another I discovered that I'm pretty good. But suddenly a blinding light forms under the green-haired boy's feet. He looks down and sees that underneath him there is a pentagram. In a few moments the pentagram transforms into a sort of portal, and before he can do anything the hero in training sinks into the vortex, which immediately closes. Everyone. Deku, Midoriya, nerd. Meanwhile, in the Tartar prison, we see a stout, eyeless figure tied to some sort of metal chair held in place with straps. He is the #1 villain, All for One. He remained in deathly silence, staring into nothingness until a luminous pentagram formed beneath him too. The man lowers his head slightly enough to be able to see the light below him. All for one. Smiling, interesting. Soon after this pentagram also becomes a portal and the villain together with the whole structure that held him still. No one would know where these two had ended up for a long time, but they could not imagine that this event would forever change the lives of the UA student and many other people he did not yet know. Ever since Izuku had fallen into that kind of portal, time seemed to have slowed down for him. Only a few seconds had passed, but for him it seemed like hours. Everywhere he looked all he could see was red. Suddenly under his feet he no longer felt emptiness but hard, rocky ground. Finally, he opened his eyes, and they widened so much they almost fell out of their sockets. Before him were no longer his UA classmates, not even the dormitory wall, but instead a terrifying scene, an expanse of rocks and columns with spikes protruding. It was like a cave with a blood-red sky. Izuku. Terrified, what? Where am I? What the hell happened? Intruder. The green-haired boy turns around sharply and sees something he never imagined he would see. It was a monstrous brute covered in bone armor, and it ran towards the hero growling. Demon. Prepare to suffer for the rest of eternity, you pathetic mortal. The monster made to punch the training hero, but he ducked and punched him in the face with 13% one for all, sending the enemy flying into the air and crashing into one of the rock columns. Izuku. What the hell is going on here? Wait a second, did you say, mortal? Demon. He gets up again. Yes, you know, you're a pathetic mortal and this is hell. You don't look like a sinner, so you must have come in here without permission and you'll pay for it with your soul. At these statements Izuku almost fainted from shock. Was he in hell? Did hell exist? How had this happened? But the human was torn from his thoughts when he realized that the demon had returned to attack him. He jumped into the air avoiding the blow and landing behind him, then jumped again and landed on his enemy's shoulders and punched him in the head with 15% of his power, knocking him to the ground unconscious. Izuku stood up and looked around for any exit. Izuku. Thinking, how is this possible? I've never done anything wrong. And I don't think I'm dead. I have to find a way out. I have to go back to Ua, to my mother, to Eri. Demon 1. Hey, that's immortal. Demon 2. Let's catch him and rip out his soul. Demon 3. Let's tear this half-sock into pieces. Demon 4. His Majesty Lucifer will give us a nice reward if we bring him his soul. In a second the green-haired boy found himself surrounded by 4 more of those skeletal demons. Seeing the numerical disadvantage, the hero in training decided to activate one of his quirks, Smoke Screen, creating a stream of purple smoke coming out of his body. The 3 demons could no longer see the human because of the smoke and began to swing at him randomly, hoping to hit him. But they hadn't noticed that the hero had activated his Black Whip quirk, creating black tentacles from his arms that wrapped around a large rock before detaching it and throwing it at the enemy, knocking out 3 out of 4 of them. The 4th and final one starts to charge the green-haired boy, but he jumps in front of him and punches him in the face with 13% one for all, stunning the demon enemy. Noticing that the enemy was starting to stagger and lose his balance, the UA student kicked the demon in the knee with 10% of one for all, causing him to buckle and kneel while still stunned by the punch. At this point the hero grabs the demon who had his back to him by the bony hips and with 19% of one for all manages to lift him off the ground. Once lifted above his head, the human throws the skeleton monster onto the others on the ground, knocking him out completely, finally giving the boy a moment to reflect. Izuku. Okay, let's recap. Midoriya. You've literally ended up in hell. You've faced what I assume are demons, and thankfully, you haven't broken anything yet. Okay, now it's time to find a way out. At this point the human begins to wander around the rocky wasteland, trying not to be seen by other skeleton demons that patrolled the area. At one point the green-haired boy notices a humanoid figure from behind and, thinking it is a human, heads towards it. Izuku. Nervous. Excuse me. At this point the figure turns around, revealing itself to be a beautiful girl with large black eyes, gray-white hair, and small black horns on her head. She was wearing a black and red work uniform, a black miniskirt with a pointed ponytail of the same color sticking out from it, and a pair of glasses. She had a dull and tired look, as if she had just finished a long, stressful day at work. Ignore the coffee cup. The hero in training blushes brightly at the sight of the beautiful girl. Before the human could say anything, the demoness stops him by speaking first in an extremely monotonous and tired tone. My name is Pandemonica, customer service hell. How can I help you? Izuku. Blushing, hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya and I think there's been a grave mistake. Pandemonica. Bored and tired, believe me I've heard it often for millennia now, you all say that. Izuku. No, there must have really been a mistake, I've never done anything wrong, and besides, I never died. Pandemonica. Raised eyebrow, really? Tired sigh, if that's true you must have been summoned through a demonic ritual. Izuku. Then how'd I get home? Pandemonica. Bored, you can file a complaint with headquarters, but it would take you about 100 years to get priority, and you humans don't usually reach that age. However, you could go see the CEO in person. Izuku. Hopeful, indeed, and where can I find it? Pandemonica. Eyes to the sky, well the CEO is in the lowest circle of hell and counts that this is just the entrance to hell that leads to the first circle. Hearing this Izuku looks down and feels a huge anguish in his chest, this place was huge and he hadn't even entered the first circle. However, at this point the demon girl notices a particular detail of this boy, namely his clothes, and in particular an apron that was slightly dirty with dust. Pandemonica. Wait a second, is that an apron? Izuku stops looking at the ground and gets embarrassed. Yes, I was cooking QQ when I ended up here. Pandemonica. Opening your eyes slightly, if you have an apron you know how to cook and if you know how to cook you also know how to make coffee. Izuku. Well, scratches his head, yes I think I can do that. At this point the demoness seems to be thinking about something and then adjusts her glasses and speaks. Pandemonica. Listen, Izuku, right, I shouldn't do this, but they don't pay me enough for this kind of thing, so if you want, I can accompany you to the headquarters on one condition. Izuku. Wide eyes, really? And she, what does Miss Pandemonica want in return? My soul. Pandemonica. What? No, I don't want your soul, I want you to buy me coffee, I really need even just a cup. Izuku. Tilt your head slightly, really? You don't have any here. Pandemonica. In theory yes, but it tastes awful and is damn expensive since it's produced in the circle of greed, and I'm damn tired from all this work and am willing to break a few company rules. Izuku. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, Miss Pandemonica. Smiles. Suddenly Pandemonica felt her cheeks begin to burn and realized she was blushing. The demoness quickly shook her head to clear her blush before the human could notice and spoke. Pandemonica. Why you're welcome, and besides, don't forget to hold up your end of the bargain and get me some good coffee. Izuku. Smiling, certainly Miss Pandemonica. Pandemonica. Well, the crossing is that way, and just call me Pandemonica. So the two set out into the rocky, hostile lands of hell. Shortly before in another part of hell, we can see a vortex forming in one part of the entrance to hell with a few skeleton demons watching over where suddenly a vortex forms that lands all for one still tied to the metal chair. All for one. Thinking, this is hell. Suddenly the greatest villain of all time heard a croaking sound above him and looked up. The man saw a giant owl with a crown on its head glide towards him, grab the tip of his chair cage and then take flight, taking all for one with it. After a few minutes of walking, Izuku and his new guide Pandemonica reached a gigantic lake with dark water and filled with pale humanoid figures that were being dragged by the current towards the spiral bottom of the lake. The sight made the green-haired boy's skin crawl while the demoness looked as bored as ever. Then the human noticed the presence of a small boat on which sat a large hooded figure with a sword in one hand and a lantern in the other who was watching them with his face covered by the large black hood. Some souls tried to cling to the boat but the figure chased them away with the weapon. Pandemonica. Ferryman, listen, I need you to take us downstairs. Ferryman. 30 coins. Pandemonica. Scowling, nice try. I know that for 2 people it's 20 coins. Ferryman. It's true but next to you there is a mortal and for mortals there is a need for an extra. Pandemonica. Thought, you ugly son of a damn it. Calm down, Pandemonica, do it for the coffee. So with a bored snort the demoness takes a bag from her dress pocket where she takes about 30 coins which she puts into the hands of the hooded figure. Ferryman. Get in and stay away from the edges, if those souls catch you you will become like them. So the demon and the human got into the boat and the ferryman's sword transformed into an oar which he began to use to navigate the sea of souls through the spiral. Izuku. I'm sorry you had to spend Pandemonica on me. Pandemonica. Bored, don't worry, I would do anything for a good coffee and then I'm used to these treatments. Izuku. Treatments. Pandemonica. You know, I'm a minor demon, so there's always someone who can walk all over me. Let's just say that if the CEO had been in my place, then we wouldn't have had to spend a cent extra, in fact, you would have even given us a discount. Izuku. But that's not fair. Pandemonica. Long sigh, we're in hell, buddy, once you're born here you get used to it. Anyway, do you have any idea why you were summoned here? As we reached the lake you mentioned being a hero in training and falling here because of a pentagram that came out of nowhere or something. I was too tired to pay close attention. Izuku. He scratches his head. Well, I couldn't tell you. I don't think I've done anything to deserve hell's attention. Pandemonica. Anyway, I hope that of all the lords you were not summoned by the CEO himself. That would be extremely embarrassing. It might actually make sense. Izuku. Confused, in what sense? Pandemonica. Looking down. You see, sometimes it happens that our CEO feels like calling to himself, whispering, nice people. Izuku. Tilt your head. What did you say at the end? I didn't hear you properly. Pandemonica. Blushing slightly, and nothing doesn't matter. After that the two remained in silence for the rest of the journey which lasted about 15 minutes and finally the boat stopped on a rocky shore. As the two got off the boat, the hero in training noticed that there were some small monsters with light red skin, long light brown horns, and bright yellow eyes. They observed the souls in the lake and grabbed some of them, bringing them to the shore and then returning to observe the river of souls. The demon girl had noticed the humans' interest and decided to explain. Pandemonica. They are gatherers, found in every circle. They recognize the souls belonging to that circle and bring them within. Izuku. Oh so, wait, confused, where exactly are we? Pandemonica. We're in the first circle of hell, the circle of lust. The ferryman can't go any further. After this circle, the river becomes increasingly narrow. Izuku. I see, so how should we proceed? Pandemonica. Tired sigh. At the end of the circles, there are always stairs that lead to the one below. We just have to reach the end of each circle until we reach the main headquarters. I advise you to stay close to me. It may be the lightest, but the circle of lust is still a place not to be underestimated, especially the demon who rules it. So the two left the banks of the river to enter the rocky lands of the circle of lust while in the distance the ferryman returned to sail darkly wrapped in the gloomy embrace of the river of souls. Izuku was sweating right now. Well, of course he was sweating. It was hell, the rocks were giving off heat, and there were bonfires that didn't let out any smoke. But especially in this circle, it was hot, even the air and oxygen were hot. Izuku stopped for a moment to catch his breath while Pandemonica continued walking. Pandemonica. Looking at the human. Calm down Izuku, we are well on our way in the circle of lust. The circle of gluttony will be less hot. Look up to the sky, unless you want me to leave you behind. Izuku. Open your eyes wide. What? No, wait. Pandemonica. Smiles slightly. Oh, don't worry, I'm just kidding, it wouldn't be professional of me. As a customer service representative, it's my duty to meet your needs, whisper, especially if I get coffee afterwards. Izuku. You know, I never imagined that hell was some kind of company. Pandemonica. Well, it's a very organized process. When you mortals die and arrive here, you end up in the river of souls. The collectors take you to the circles assigned to you based on the sin you committed in life, and then, well, protocol forbids me from giving away spoilers. Despite that, it's a process that also requires a good amount of coffee to stay awake, and as I said, what they have here is terrible and damn expensive. Look, Izuku, I really hope you keep your promise. Izuku. Calm down, smile, a hero always keeps his promises. Pandemonica. Smiles slightly, I hoped, for you. At this point the hero in training noticed that the girl he was traveling with looked very tired, she clearly had dark circles under her eyes and was yawning more than usual. Izuku. Do you need a break? We can stop if you want. Pandemonica. Calm down, I'm yawning. Fine, I'll rest. Yawning. Only when? Yawning. I've finished my task of taking you to the CEO. Izuku stands in front of her. Wait, I want to go home, but I don't want you to hurt yourself by having to take me back. Pandemonica, blushing, do you really think so? Izuku, sure, I mean, I can't go home if my guide can't take me, right? Take a break, I don't mind stopping. The demon with the glasses looked at the human in shock. It was as if no one had ever told her she could take a break before, which was probably the case. Pandemonica blushed. Well, I guess we can rest for a while. There was a large rock near the two of them, which she walked on and sat down on. Walking over it, the green-haired boy sat down next to her. As soon as he did so, he felt the demoness's head rest on his shoulder, which made him blush brightly. Pandemonica, I'll use your shoulder as a pillow if you don't mind. Close his eyes. Izuku, blushing, that's okay, go ahead. So the demon girls blow let's go, and after a few seconds she falls asleep. Izuku, pensando, here I am, in hell, with a girl sleeping on top of me, pinch me, no, it's not a dream. So after about a minute the green-haired human also closes his eyes and falls asleep. The day after, Pandemonica opened her eyes again and let out a slightly satisfied sigh. This nap would be enough until she got her long-awaited coffee. Then the gray, white-haired girl set her gaze on the human she had been using as a pillow to sleep peacefully. Pandemonica, thinking, he fell asleep too. Well, maybe it's better this way, but he'd better wake up quickly. She looks him in the face and blushes. Maybe. I don't mind staying like this for a while longer. At this point, however, the UA student wakes up and looks at the demoness, saying, Izuku, smiling, oh hi Monica, you're awake. Pandemonica turns red like a tomato. What did you call me? Izuku realizes what he said and blushes. Sorry. I didn't mean to. I just thought that shortening the name W would be better, but if you don't like it, that's okay. Pandemonica, still blushing, no, that's fine. I don't mind as long as the customer is satisfied, that's fine with me. So the two, still with slightly red cheeks, came down from the rock and began walking again, accompanied by the souls of the deceased who walked with them towards the horizon. Half an hour later, Izuku, look at Pandemonica. Anyway, who is the CEO here keeps talking? Pandemonica, haven't you figured it out yet? Obviously, the CEO of Hell is Lucifer. Izuku, eyes wide open, Lucifer. Pandemonica, exactly, our queen and ruler of Hell, although she much prefers the term CEO. Izuku, confused, wait, did you say queen? Is Lucifer a woman? Pandemonica, exactly, even though you humans think he's a male, for some reason Lucifer is a she. The green-haired human swallowed at the thought of meeting the Lord of Evil and King, or rather Queen of Hell himself, but he would be ready for this and more just to return home. Suddenly, a kind of fog rose in the air and enveloped everything. As soon as the fog hit the souls, they began to moan in pain as if they were being tortured by the fog itself. Pandemonica, oh damn, the fog of forbidden pleasures. Izuku, you look around but see only fog, oh damn. Meanwhile Izuku was walking in the fog, hearing Pandemonica's voice calling him, but before he could answer he notices a pair of eyes staring straight into his eyes. These eyes were bright red and the pupils were shaped like bright hearts that pierced the soul of whoever looked into them. The figure takes a few steps forward and the fog around it dissolves, revealing a beautiful woman with pale skin, red irises, a black arrow-tipped ponytail, and silvery white hair. Her hair is wavy and unruly, with several noticeable strands scattered for no particular reason. Her head is adorned by two simple black horns pointing upward, as well as numerous small red hearts floating perpetually around it. She wears a black jacket covering a black sweater that still highlights her large breasts, a black miniskirt, and bright red pants. Izuku blushed brightly and took a few steps back as the demon girl stared at him intently as if it were the most incredible thing she had ever seen. The two remained silent for a few seconds until the silence was killed by the young woman. Stares intently at Izuku. Human, immortal human, pupils get bigger, male. Izuku, embarrassed, hello, how can I help you? You and me, now. Izuku, Question mark question mark question mark colon dot dot dot. Izuku. What do you say? I don't think I understand. The demoness is getting closer and closer, and if Izuku wasn't sweating from the heat, he definitely was now. Pandemonica. Hey. Finally the demon with the glasses emerged from the fog and stood between the human and the other girl. Pandemonica. Leave Modius alone. Izuku. Who is that? Look how the demoness is still staring at him and panting. Pandemonica. She is Modius, the lustful demon. The leader of the circle of lust. Izuku. Oh, that explains a lot. The now known Modius makes a superhuman leap and surpasses Pandemonica and grabs Izuku by the shoulders and pins him to a rock. Modius. Pant, let's do it. Right here, you and I mortal, pant. Izuku. Blushes, what? Luckily the tired demon grabs the lustful demon by the shoulders and pulls him away. Pandemonica. Irritated, I thought I told you to leave him alone. This is no time or place for such indecency. Modius. Why, are you with this human, aren't you, creating a demonic harem? At these words both Izuku and Pandemonica turned red and the human looked like he was about to explode from embarrassment. Pandemonica. Irritated, what? No, this human and I are going to Lucifer to send him back to the mortal realm. Modius. So, you'll take him back to the mortal realm. I'm coming with you. This, honestly surprised the two of them a lot, but Pandemonica also seemed quite bored and annoyed. Pandemonica. No. This journey is risky enough already, we don't need a burden. Plus, you have your own duties to fulfill in your group. Modius. Squints at the succubi, and the incubus can get by, even without me, and then, looks Pandemonica in the face. Why are you so defensive? Pandemonica. I'm just doing my job, which you should do too since it was given to you by Lucifer himself. Izuku. Monica, listen, let's not fight. Maybe Miss Modius can help us. The tired demon looked at the human in disbelief while Modius blushed and smiled slightly. Modius. Wise choice, cute. Izuku. Blushing, thanks for the compliment. By the way, my name is Izuku Midoriya, holds out his hand. At the sight of this, the lustful demon opens his eyes wide, his heart-shaped pupils narrow, and his cheeks turn extremely red. Modius. Pervert. Don't you know that holding out your hand is the most lewd act of all? Izuku and Pandemonica. Pandemonica. Thoughts? Well, it's not that surprising. She has no idea what real romance is. She's too sexually obsessed to realize it, not that I'm an expert on it. Izuku. Put your hand down. Sorry, I didn't know. I'm not a pervert, I swear. At this point the demoness jumps on the human and hugs him, pressing her breasts against his chest. Modius. Don't worry, dear, let's go now. Pandemonica sighed but gave up and started guiding the human and the newcomer again. The fog had cleared in the meantime. As they walked, Modius continued to cling to the green-haired boy's arm, which made him very embarrassed. Pandemonica. Thought, look at Izuku. Damn, he's cute when he's embarrassed. Maybe bringing Modius along won't be so bad. The scene changes to show the tower room of Satan's castle with the window still wide open. Suddenly Stolas came in through the window, setting All for One down on his chair. The owl demon put his paws on the ground and made his monstrous sound, and like the first time Satan came out of the oil puddle and came face to face with the villain number 1. Satan. My regards, All for One. I apologize for the rough treatment on your arrival here, but there were no other ways, unfortunately. The demon snaps his fingers and the straps holding the AFO catch fire and vaporize. The villain's smile widens and he rises from the metal chair, letting out a deep gasp through his mask. All for One. Are you, the devil? This is clearly hell. Satan. He bows slightly. Satan, to be precise. I am not Lucifer, although I am aware that for some reason you humans think we are the same person. All for One. Tell me, why did you bring me here? Not that I was sorry to escape from prison, let's be clear. Satan. You see, my dear, I have been watching you for a long time. You are simply the incarnation of the greatest evil that has ever existed, even better than Hitler. And I am going to make you a very interesting proposal. You see, I am going to stage a little coup and take over the throne of all hell. But unfortunately I cannot do it alone, and that is why I need your power. All for One. And tell me, demon, what should I gain from this? Satan. The eyes shine. Simple, you're not the only one I brought here. In fact, right now in hell there's also the ninth bearer of the quirk you desire most of all. All for one. Soride, ill one for all. Satan. That's right, the ninth bearer is here, and if you help me, you can have his power, and once you return to Earth, nothing and no one will be able to stop you. So, hold out your hand, are you interested? The supreme villain remains silent for a few seconds and then bursts into maniac laughter and tightly squeezes the wrath demon's hand. All for one. Shakes hands. Deal done, it will be a pleasure working with you. Satan. Thought, perfect, as soon as the time is right I will absorb his soul in that of the hero boy and then I will be able to rule over hell, earth and even heaven. At this point Izuku, Modius and Pandemonica arrived in what Pandemonica said was the circle of the throat. Pandemonica. Listen up Izuku, the circle of gluttony is more dangerous than the circle of lust, let's just say you better watch your step. Izuku. Confused, because. Before the glasses-wearing demoness could respond, a lost soul walking near the trio fell into a pit covered in teeth, which closed shortly after. Pandemonica. For them, those pits are death traps that voraciously eat the souls of those who in life were voracious for food or power. Modius. Hug Izuku's arm, calm down 4 eyes. I won't let my cutie get eaten by anything but me, Pant, even though I have to admit, you're cute when you're scared hee. Izuku. Thought, should I be flattered or worried? Pandemonica looks up at the sky, annoyed and bored by the lustful demon's words, but then she notices something in the distance approaching. These are 5 skeleton demons that were looking straight at them with a menacing look. Seeing this the green-haired boy becomes serious and prepares to activate his power. Pandemonica. What are you doing here, skeleton demons? This is not a circle where your kind works. Demon 1. You're right, you bespectacled bitch, that's why we advise you to make things easier for us so we can get back. Demon 2. Give us that little human monster and we'll leave you alone. Demon 5. Yeah, we're not interested. Give us the human bone and you can go home with all your bones intact. Izuku. What do you want from me? Demon 1. Our boss requires your presence and has sent someone here to capture you. Modius. Satan, does he want my darling? No. He's mine. Pandemonica. I hate to admit it but I agree, we're taking this human to the CEO so tell your boss to. Demon 3. Grabs Pandemonica by the throat and lifts her up. Listen to me, you dirty whore. We don't have time for this bullshit, fuck. Izuku had suddenly struck the skeleton demon that had attacked Pandemonica using 18% of One for All. The sturdy demon flies from the blow and lands on one of the mouths on the ground which opens wide, causing him to fall inside. Demon 2. Izuku charge, little piece of. But before the monster could reach the human, Modius conjures up a metal hammer larger than his own body, which he uses to crush the skeletal demon's skull with incredible force. Modius. Enraged, don't you dare touch my dear love, you damned, ill-formed pile of bones. He strikes Demon 5, splitting his ribcage. Izuku. Thought, damn, she doesn't look it but she's strong, and, cute if I'm honest. Notice that Demon 1 is about to punch him. Oh right, I'm fighting. The green-haired boy parries the monster's punch with Black Whip's tentacles, which he then uses to lift his foe into the air and slam him conveniently into a mouth on the floor that devours him. Demon 4. He's sweating with fear. Damn, fuck you, I'm leaving. He starts running but gets eaten by a mouth in the floor. Ahhhhhhhhh. At this point, not seeing any other skeleton demons, Izuku turns towards Pandemonica who was on the ground holding her throat and taking deep breaths. Izuku holds out his hand. Are you okay, Monica? Pandemonica. She looks at him with red cheeks. Why yes, thank you so much for your help. Izuku. Smile, you're welcome, it's my duty. Look, Modius, you said before that Satan wanted me. Modius makes the hammer disappear. Yes, skeleton demons are demons that are born in the circle of wrath, which is the circle ruled by Satan. Izuku. But, why would Satan want me? Pandemonica. Well, it's likely he's the one who brought you here, but why? I'm not sure. Anyway, this shows us that we'll have to keep a very low profile once we reach the circle of wrath. So the group set off again towards the gorge circle, paying attention to the balls on the ground, with the awareness that from there on the journey would become even more difficult. At one point the trio found themselves in front of a very tall stone column, so tall that it was difficult to see the top, where there were 3 humanoid figures with glowing red eyes that were looking at the group, the human in particular. Pandemonica. Worried, oh. Izuku. What's going on? Who are those? Modius. You see, love, that's the overseer of the Circle of Gluttony after the fall of the exile, the triple demon Cerberus. At that exact moment the 3 figures jumped from the column and landed on top of the human, pinning him to the ground. They were girls, simply, the same. Same white hair, same face with big red eyes, same black and red dress, same tie, same jeans with a black belt, same long boots, same pointed ponytail, and same dog ears. Cerberus 1. A human is excited. Cerberus 2. Excited, a real human. Cerberus 3. Excited, please take us with you to the human world. Izuku. Embarrassed and confused, please. Pandemonica. Are you still bored with this human world thing? Then get the hell out of here. Cerberus all 3. Arise. Please take us with you. It's always been our purpose to come to the human world so we can corrupt it. Izuku. Bribe? Wait, Modius, earlier you referred to them as if they were the same person. Wait, Cerberus, like Cerberus from Greek mythology. Pandemonica. Nods his head. Exactly, but instead of a 3-headed dog, Cerberus is a demon separated into 3 bodies that the Greeks decided to adapt to their religions. Hearing this, Izuku looks at the 3 demons who continue to look at him, smiling, and decides to test something. He places his hand on the head of the girl in the center and gently caresses her. All 3 heard it and sighed happily as they approached the human. Izuku. Thought, okay, this is adorable. Cerberus 2. Blushed, so beautiful. Cerberus 1. Blushed, what a beautiful feeling. Cerberus 3. Blushing, beautiful. Pandemonica. Bored, well, it looks like you made a new friend, Izuku. On the other hand, Modius seemed quite annoyed. In fact, she went back to hug the human's arm in a possessive way. Cerberus 1. Puppy eyes, please take us with you. Cerberus 2. Puppy eyes, we'll help you if you bring us with you. Cerberus 3. Puppy dog eyes, we won't corrupt you, promise. Imagine them red. Izuku. Okay, I can't resist those eyes. But promise me you won't hurt anyone. Cerberus all 3, we promise. They have their fingers crossed behind their backs. Izuku. Sigh, okay, you can come with us. Cerberus all 3, yes. Thank you. Hug Izuku. The UA student blushes brightly when the 3 girls hug him, which annoys Modius a lot and Pandemonica a little too. Cerberus 1. Breaks the embrace. So, what are we waiting for? Runs away. Cerberus 2. Breaks the hug. Let's get out of here. Runs away. Cerberus 3. Breaking the embrace. The mortal world awaits, running away. Izuku. Thought, I just agreed to take a 3-bodied demon home with me, let's hope it goes well. Modius. Finally those hounds stopped bothering you, darling. Izuku. Blushing, WW, could you please not call me that? You can only call me Izuku. Modius. Confused, why? Am I making you uncomfortable? Izuku. Well, we just met, couldn't we get to know each other a little better first? Modius. Shakes his head. Nah, it takes too long. Before the chit-chat it's better to s. Pandemonica. Blushing but also irritated. Can we please continue? I'm already losing sight of Cerberus. So finally the newly enlarged group continues its journey towards the exit from the circle of the gorge. But a few hundred meters away from them, on a stone column, stands the imposing figure of Stolos, who watches them walk away for a few seconds before taking flight. The group formed by Pandemonica, Cerberus, Modius, and Izuku reached the Circle of Sloth. This was very different from the others. It looked a lot like a kind of red desert full of cracks so large you could fall into them. And in the distance, you could see a kind of palace. Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses. Okay, Izuku, but the journey gets more difficult here. Izuku. Why? Pandemonica. You see, to move on to the next circle you must first ask permission from the demon who rules the Circle of Sloth, namely Astaroth. Modius. And if he doesn't want to help us bring home my cute, Summons his hammer, I'll teach him a lesson. Cerberus 1. I'll tear it to pieces. Cerberus 2. I'll tear his hair out. Cerberus 3. No one will stop us from reaching the human world. Izuku smiles, oh thank you so much girls. But suddenly from the entrance of the circle of sloth appears the imposing and monstrous Stolas, who observes the group with his orange eyes. Stolas. Midoriya Izuku, you come with me or I'll have to carry your corpse. Modius. Angry, Stolas. Keep your disgusting claws away from my darling. Pandemonica. Prince Stolas of the Ars Godia, it is my duty to inform you that I am taking this human to Lucifer, so return to your duties. Stolas. I am doing my duty, I am following the orders given by my superior, so you can step aside and live or interfere and die. Izuku. He's standing in front of Pandemonica. Listen, I'm just trying to get back to where I belong so. Stolas. Here's the human problem, you don't belong to this realm but soon you will belong to nothing but my claws, raise one of your paws. So the giant owl tried to grab the human with his claws but he jumped back. Modius tried to hit the enemy with his hammer but he took flight. The three Cerberus made a superhuman leap, reaching the bird's legs and biting them with their sharp teeth. The demon of the Ars Godia croaked in pain and shook his paws, causing the triple demon to fall to the ground, which did not appear to have suffered any damage. The owl swooped down towards the group who began to run away except for Izuku, who activated float and began to levitate after jumping, attracting the attention of the winged demon who rose into the air to catch him. But this is what the hero wanted in training, because when the owl reached a suitable distance he activated smoke screen and deactivated float, falling to the ground but was caught in flight by Modius. The winged demon landed straight into the cloud of purple smoke and was confused as he couldn't see anything. Izuku. Let's run, quickly. So everyone headed towards a large crack in the ground and jumped in just moments before Stolas could get out of the cloud of purple smoke, and in fact he couldn't see the group that was hiding. The bird monster lands on the barren ground looking around for the human, and after a few seconds it emits a growl of annoyance and then flies away. Meanwhile in the inlet, Pandemonica. Look up. Well, we certainly can't go up but we should be able to get out of here via some underground caves. Izuku. Who the hell was that? Cerberus 1. That was Stolas. Cerberus 2. One of the Ars Godia. Cerberus 3. One of the most important demonic classes in hell. Hey, who the fuck is there? Everyone stopped when they heard a commanding and audibly angry female voice followed by heavy footsteps approaching. After a few seconds, the figure of a demon girl with short white hair appears. She wears a red button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled up just below the elbows, over which is a black, sleeveless, button-up vest. Covering her lower half, she wears a black pencil skirt over a pair of black tights. She wears 3 thin black bracelets on each wrist. Cerberus all 3, Melina. They run to her and hug her. Melina. Angry, get off me. Pushes them away. Never do that again. Izuku. Whisper, and who is that? Modius. Whisper, that's the demon Osido Melina. Melina. Sees Izuku, and who is that? Another rotten brain. Izuku. Hey, I don't have a rotten brain. Melina. Look up to the sky. Yes, yes indeed, you're human, right? Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses. Yes, he is human. Melina. We are taking him to the CEO but we are being attacked by Stolas. Melina. Tilt your head. Stolas. That fucking turkey who's always kissing Satan's ass. And what does he want from you, broccoli head? Izuku. Shrugs, I have no idea. Melina. Well, you're definitely in trouble if the Wrath boss wants your pretty cute cheeks. Izuku. Red as a tomato. What did USS said? Melina. Grin, you're cute when you're frustrated. Pandemonica. Listen, Melina, Stolas is still around here. We need you to let us stay with you for a while, just long enough for Stolas to leave the group. Melina. Grunts, okay, just don't bring that slut of a sister of mine here, follow me. So the group followed Melina to her house, which was between 2 rocks. The inside of the house was full of empty alcohol bottles and on the table there were open boxes of board games. Pandemonica. You really should clean up this port. Modius. I agree. Melina. Annoyed, oh shut up or I'll kick your ass. Izuku. Thought, well, he looks around. it seems like he has a problem that's not alcohol. Melina. Point to a room, that's the guest room, go there to sleep, touch anything other than the bed and I'll kill you. So the group entered the guest room where they were supposed to spend the rest of the day waiting for Stolas to leave the group. Izuku was awoken from his sleep by a rather loud grunt of annoyance coming from the living room of Melina's house. When the UA student fully regained his sight, he noticed something that made his face turn like a ripe tomato. That thing is Modius and Cerberus, all three of them sleeping on top of the human, hugging his muscular arms with the lustful demon foaming at the mouth and muttering something perverse in his sleep. Meanwhile, Pandemonica is sleeping in a single bed with her glasses on a nightstand and her arms crossed as if she were in a coffin. The grunts from the hall continued and the human decided to investigate. He carefully managed to free himself from the demon girl's grip without waking them and headed towards the door of the room, opening it slightly and without making any noise. What he sees is Melina sitting on a couch playing a video game and looking like she's having trouble. Melina. Holy shit, how the fuck am I supposed to get out of this? Izuku. Use a petrification spell. Melina. Open your eyes slightly and look in his direction. What do you say? Izuku. Enter the room completely. Is that fantasy game from a few years ago, right? You have a petrification potion on your enemies, but it only lasts a few seconds, not enough to escape, but you have enough time to use a fire potion. Of course, your enemies, which are tree monsters, will take a lot of damage. Melina. Look at Izuku and then look at the game. Do what he says. Damn. It worked. Have you played this game yet? Izuku. Not really, but it seemed like a very logical strategy to me. Melina. She cherishes it intensely. Izuku. Uncomfortable. Do you need something? Melina. Takes another controller and throws it to Izuku. Sit down now, you play with me. Izuku. Grab the controller. Wait, what? Melina. Demon voice. You heard me, broccoli head. I've been trying to beat this level for hours and you'll be the key. Izuku. Okay, sit next to her. About an hour later, Izuku had never considered himself a video game player. He was too busy chasing his dreams of becoming a hero, and the few video games he had were all All Might themed. But now he was discovering that he had a pretty good talent for playing video games, or at least the ones that required strategic skills. Melina. Look at him, you know, human. It's a shame you have to go back to your world. I always wanted a playmate, but you know, we're in hell and here no one gives a shit about socializing. Izuku. I see, he thinks about something but decides not to talk. Melina. Think about something, wait a second, maybe. Izuku. What? Melina. Gets up. What if I came with you to the human realm? Izuku. What the hell? Melina. Don't make me repeat myself. If I came with you to the human kingdom, we could continue to be playmates. Izuku. So, you want to come with me? Melina. You bet. He blushes a little, but I'm not doing it because I like you or anything like that, but because you're good at video games. Izuku. Smiles. Well, in that case, welcome to Team Melina. Everyone was in the living room having breakfast around the table. While most were having breakfast with cereal in milk, Melina was eating cereal in beer. Pandemonica. So, look Melina, now you will join us. And you will come to the human world. Melina. Eat? Yes, I have nothing to do here besides drink and be a single player. Cerberus 1. It will be great to have you with us. Cerberus 2. We will corrupt the human world together. Cerberus 3. Rain Remo. Izuku. Pensando. Okay. I'm starting to think that bringing Cerberus with me isn't going to be a great idea. But suddenly everyone's breakfast was interrupted by the sound of someone banging loudly on the door. Melina looked at the door for a few seconds before continuing to eat her cereal. Izuku. You shouldn't, you know, answer the door. Modius. It could be someone who wants to s. Melina. Look up to the sky. There are only two people who could come to visit me. The first is the king of this circle and it is very unlikely that he will come here, and the second person is Melina. Yes, I know you're home. Come on, open the door for your dear sister. Hearing this, everyone turns to Melina, who was visibly annoyed. Melina. Whisper, he'll go away anyway. Keep knocking. I'm not leaving until you open the door, sis. Cerberus 1. Sniffs the air, and, smoke. Cerberus 2. What a mess. Cerberus 3. I hate that smell. Melina. All right, she gets up from the table. I'm going to open the door. In the meantime, you stay here, I'll take care of it. So the demoness walked towards the door and opened it, finding herself faced with another demon girl with short white hair that fell over her face, covering one of her eyes. She has black eyeshadow and piercings in her mouth, ears, and nose. She wears a brace on her right arm and a cuff on her left hand. Her outfit consists of a red short-sleeved shirt, black leather pants held up by a belt, and black knee-high boots. Hey Melina, Smoke, you know I was about to kick the door in if you didn't answer. Melina. What the fuck do you want, Strata? Strata. What do you mean? I can't just want to visit my favorite sister, hug Melina. Melina. Wriggles while grunting, get the fuck out of my way, bitch. Strata. Ride, oh sometimes you can be really funny Melina. Melina. She frees herself from the hug. You wanted to see me, right? Well, you saw me, so you can get the hell out of here. Strata. Oh dear, what? Smoke a cigarette. Won't let me into your house. Melina. No, try to stop her. Don't you dare come into my house. Strata. Get past Melina and get in anyway. Oh, come on, sis. Let me stay at least for a little while, you're always stuck on the, he sees the group and especially Izuku, video games. Izuku. Embarrassed. Waves. Hello. Strata. Drops the cigarette. Wow. Since when do you have friends? Points to Izuku, and one of them is a real, flesh and blood human boy. Melina. Closes the door of her house, thinking, perfect, the last thing I needed from here today. Strata. Sister, you have a boyfriend because of you. Puts his hands on Melina's shoulders, since when did you finally decide to take a chance? Melina. He blushes but slaps his sister's hands. What the hell are you talking about? These guys showed up here last night, they want to bring the human back to Earth and they have to go through the king's castle to continue. Strata. Looks at Izuku and slaps his cheeks. Oh, look at you. A real, flesh and blood human here in the circle of sloth. And you're really cute, too. Why didn't you knock on my door? She takes out another cigarette and lights it to smoke. The demon girl lets smoke come out of her mouth, or rather a cloud of smoke that ends up right in the human's face, making him cough and greatly annoying the other girls. Izuku. Cough, hello. Cough, my name is, cough. Izuku Midoriya, holds out his hand. Strata. Nice to meet you. My name is Strata. She shakes the human's hand while putting the cigarette back in her mouth with the other. Pandemonica. Bored, you know you shouldn't smoke Strata, even the CEO himself told you so. Strata. Shrugs, what do you want me to say, Pan? You know very well that I don't give a damn about the rules, we're in hell after all, no one gives a damn. Pandemonica. Clenches his fists, never call me again. Pan. Izuku. Curious, so you're a rebel demon. Strata. Look at him, well we can say that but I'm better known as Strata. The demon whore. Izuku. Surprised, the DD demon B whore. Melina. Exactly because that's what she is, a big whore. Pandemonica. Heavy sigh, we'd better go, Stolas should be gone by now. So the group gets up from the table and heads towards the exit but they are stopped by the whore demon. Strata. Hey, you're going to Astaroth's castle, right? If you take me with you, I can get you in there without a problem. Melina. Raise your eyebrow. What are you getting at? Strata. Look, I can clearly see that there's a nice harem forming here and I want to be a part of it. At that precise moment everyone except Modius turned as red as tomatoes, especially Izuku who started to tremble with shame. Izuku. www what? And no. Why you misunderstood, I'm not trying to create a harem. Modius. Well, hug Izuku's arm, we're not far from that right cute. Izuku. He looks at her and blushes even more, and no absolutely. Strata. Oh don't worry. She approaches him and pushes Modius away hugging the human's arm. I can take the initiative, she kisses his cheek. Izuku. His face was starting to smoke. Melina. Look up at the sky, listen, if you really want to come with us, do it but don't bother him or me. So the now increased group left Melina's house and headed towards the castle of the ruler of the King of Sloth. At the head of the group was Pandemonica, behind her was Melina drinking a bottle of alcohol, following them were Izuku and Strata, and finally there were Modius and Cerberus following everyone, the first one with an expression full of annoyance for having lost her place next to the human. Izuku, still blushing, thinking, this isn't really happening, is it? I'm not creating some sort of harem, right? No, absolutely not. Strata's just kidding, right? The scene shows us the group in front of a huge medieval toll booth at the edge of the Circle of Sloth, next to it a huge closed gate that led to the next circle. Strata. So, the only way to proceed to the next round is to get permission from King Astaroth himself. Izuku. Confused, and how exactly do you get this permission? Strata. Look at Izuku. Well, if the CEO doesn't send you, you just have to beat him at his favorite game, Offense Royale. Izuku. Confused, Offense Royale. Melina. It's basically a competition of insults and offenses, the one who manages to make the best insults to the opponent wins. Izuku. Shocked, since insults are a game. Pandemonica. Ever since Lucifer gave Astaroth command of the Circle of Sloth, he loves insults, he loves their simplicity, their meaning, he loves receiving them, but above all he loves giving them. Look at the group, so who wants to challenge him? Modius. Don't get me wrong, I like dirty conversations, but I'm not a fan of that stuff that Astaroth likes so much, it's too forced in my opinion. Carberus. All three, absolutely not. Melina. I'm too drunk to do this shit and not raise my hands. Strata. Well, I can't, I wouldn't follow the rules, so. Look, Izuku. Izuku. Embarrassed. I don't think I can do it. I'm not the type to insult. Strata. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Knock loudly on the door. Demon voice. WHO, the fuck is knocking at this hour? Strata. It's me, Ast. It's Strata. Astaroth. Go away, bitch. I don't have time for this bullshit. Strata. Oh come on big boy, I brought you a challenger. Astaroth. More interested voice, a challenger. Strata. That's right, he's human. And he wants to challenge you to Offense Royale. Soon after the palace door opens, revealing a large monstrous figure with pale skin. He wore a red cloak, his head was covered in purple fur, his eyes were red like fire, and he had a second smiling mouth in his stomach. The monster looks Izuku straight in the eyes, which makes him very uncomfortable. Astaroth. So, little flea. You want to challenge me to my favorite game, EH. And what would you want if you win? Izuku. Shakes slightly. I want the gate to be opened first to the next G round. Astaroth. Look at you, you're shaking like a fucking leaf, ha 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 ha, it'll be fun, challenge accepted. You start. Izuku. Well, you are very intimidating. Astaroth. Pandemonica. Modius. Melina. Betrayal. Cerberus. All three. Astaroth. That was the lamest insult I've ever heard. Anyway, it's my turn now. What happened to your head? Did you fall into a barrel of snot? Izuku. And where did you find that cloak? At the M Market. Astaroth. You guessed it, but if you're so nervous when talking to a guy, what do you do to girls? Do you shit yourself? Izuku. Blushes, and no. EEU. Astaroth. Pathetic. You know sometimes it's not even funny to make fun of insignificant sons of bitches like you. Izuku. Stops shaking. What? Serious? Did you mean my mother? Astaroth. You're deaf. I said your mother is a fucking bitch, ha 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 ha. At these words every sign of frustration, discomfort or embarrassment vanish from the hero's face, replaced by a death stare. Izuku. Well, it's funny you said that, you look like the son of Bigfoot and a pig. Astaroth. Stops laughing and looks at him. What do you say? Izuku. Are you deaf and uglier than you are? Have you looked in the mirror? You have more hair than your face. Astaroth. Okay, now I'll start too. Izuku. Seriously, why the red cape? You wear red to look menacing, but you look more like a circus tent with legs. Astaroth. Hey me, Izuku. And let me guess, your stomach has a face because not even your body wants to be associated with your real face. Astaroth. The face on his stomach stops smiling. Izuku. I may not be an expert in demonology, but honestly you look like a fucking carnival puppet that came out of a low-quality factory. Astaroth. Modius. Think excited and blushing, oh dear heavens. Think of all the dirty words he might say in bed. Cerberus. All three, think blushing, so cool. Pandemonica. Thinks blushing, damn. I didn't expect it, it was, sexy. Melina. Thinking blushing, holy shit, besides being a player he's also good at insulting, he's the perfect guy. Strata. Thinking Erosita. I knew there was something special about this little boy. Astaroth. Intimidating, no one in my entire existence had ever insulted me like this. At that moment Izuku realized what he had said and immediately regretted it, thinking that he had just infuriated the demon who would now slaughter him. Astaroth. Smiles from both mouths, that was amazing. Seriously, kid, you have a real talent for insulting. Izuku. Surprised and confused, wait, are you happy? Astaroth. Sure, I love insults, even receiving them is fun for me. Izuku. Ooh, oh, okay, so can we go? Astaroth. Oh right, of course you can, you've really earned it. So the demon of sloth claps his big hands and instantly the gate to the next round swings open. Pandemonica. Perfect, we can finally move on. Thank you very much, Your Highness, Lord Astaroth. Astaroth. No need to say thank you, just thank you for the fun game. Good luck, boy. He turns around and goes back into the castle, son of Bigfoot and a pig, brilliant. The doors close behind him. Strata. Hey, not bad there. I mean, you were a bit bland at first, but then damn, you recovered. Izuku. I don't know what happened to me, as soon as he mentioned my mother it was like another person appeared. Modius. Well, it's understandable, strong emotions touch on sides of us that we're often unconscious of, especially in bed. Pandemonica. Anyway, we'd better get going. The next circle we'll be going into is the Circle of Wrath. Izuku. Wait, isn't that the circle you said Satan is in charge from here, who apparently wants me? Pandemonica. Exactly, that's why we have to keep a low profile and be very careful. So the group walked beyond the gate of the Circle of Sloth towards the Circle of Wrath. The group reached the Circle of Wrath, which was much more similar to traditional depictions of hell on earth, a rocky wasteland filled with flames and rivers of boiling lava flowing from the walls. There the skeleton demons were everywhere, they mostly beat and abused the lost souls that were there while some simply walked around looking for new souls to slaughter. The group opted for a quieter approach, hiding behind various rocks in the area for two main reasons. One, even though Izuku was very strong it was unlikely that he could defeat hundreds of demons at the same time. Two, such a clash would surely have attracted the attention of Satan and absolutely no one wanted to attract the attention of the King of Wrath. Izuku. Walk, hey Monica, when we get to the CEO, what exactly are we going to do? Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses, well simple, all you have to do is beg. Izuku. Confused, beg. Strata. Yes, beg. Get on your knees at her feet, head down, and start crying and begging her to send you home. Modius. Yes, it will be easy, lustful voice, if you want I can let you practice. Izuku. Blushes brightly, and no thanks. Cerberus 1. Don't worry, Master, everything will be fine. Cerberus 2. Master can easily melt Lucifer's heart. Cerberus 3. It's going to be beautiful. Izuku. Looks completely red. www what DD did you see call me? Cerberus 1. Hugs him, you are our master. Cerberus 2. Embraces him, we chose you as such. Cerberus 3. Hugs him, you deserve after agreeing to take him with you. Izuku. Pensando, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Modius. Thinking, damnation, he bites his nails, I should have been the one to call him that first. Betrayal. Pensando, well things are getting spicy, let's hope they get hot later. He touches the cross on his neck with his fingers, which begin to burn slightly. Melina. Thinking, I'm too sober for this shit, but I admit calling him master wouldn't be bad. Pandemonica. Thinking annoyed and bored, why did we have to bring them with us again? Damn, I really need that coffee. Suddenly, however, everyone noticed that behind a pile of rocks not too far from them there was something that emanated a strange light. Cerberus 1. Sniff, there's something there. Cerberus 2. It smells strange. Cerberus 3. A smell of sugar and clouds. Izuku. Sugar and clouds. Clouds, could it be? He heads towards the light source. Melina. She stands in front of him, blocking him. What the fuck do you think you're doing? It could be a trap. Izuku. I know, but I have a strange feeling, and then don't worry, I can manage. So the green-haired human approached the rocks from where the light was coming and saw a female figure with her back turned. Izuku. Pensando, weird, the other girls wear dark clothes while this one wears white. But Izuku accidentally knocked a small stone to the ground with his foot, making enough noise to attract the girl's attention. She turned around quickly, revealing her rosy complexion, her black hair, her blue eyes like the calm ocean, and the bright halo on her head. The two looked at each other for a few seconds, both processing the other's existence, but suddenly an expression of excitement and disbelief formed on the girl in white's face as she clutched a notebook in one hand and a pen in the other. Oh my heavens! A real, flesh and blood human here in hell. How are you even here? Are you doing a demonology thesis too? Izuku. Unbelieving, an angel. You guessed it. My name is Azazel, it's a pleasure to meet you, human. He offers her hand. Izuku. Still in disbelief, a true angel. Azazel. Well yeah, is there something wrong? You look a little shocked. Oh right. This must be like the first time you've ever met an angel, I guess. But suddenly the other demon girls reached him and Modius started to shake him, trying to make him recover from the shock. Madasu. Worried. Cute. Izuku, can you hear me? Are you okay? Izuku. He's recovering. Why yes, I'm fine Modius, it's just that, well, I didn't expect that I would meet an angel here in hell. Strangely, the angel in question did not seem to be at all disturbed by the presence of so many demons. In fact, she seemed almost fascinated by them. In fact, she was writing things in her notebook. Pandemonica. And can I know? He stands in front of Azazel crossing his arms. How did you get in here without being seen by customer service at the entrance to hell? Here I am a member. Azazel. Raisin-eyed in the air. I must have entered through a secret entrance because when I got there, past the ferryman and the souls, there was no customer service. Maybe that's why I'm a little lost. Pandemonica. Thinking, right, I didn't tell anyone I was leaving the post. Azazel. Where are you headed, anyway? I'd be happy to help a human in need, and I could use a guide on my quest. Izuku. Confused, research. Azazel. Smiling, pointing to his notebook. I'm doing a thesis for a demonology degree, and what better place than hell to study demons? Pandemonica. Anyway, that's fine, Miss Azazel, we'll take you and Izuku to the CEO. She'd definitely be very annoyed by the fact that an angel is roaming freely in her kingdom. You have perfectly described my feelings at this moment, my dear. Everyone immediately turned towards the direction of the sound and their eyes widened as they saw two large figures standing on a large rock column. One was hidden behind that of a large gray-skinned demon. Pandemonica. Cerberus, all three, Strata, Modius, and Melina. Scare, Satan. Azazel. Makes the pen fall to the ground. Oh my good Lord Almighty. Good. Satan appears from behind. Izuku. Thinking, eyes widen in shock. It can't be that it's all for one. It's a great pleasure for me to finally meet you, ninth bearer of One for All, Izuku Midoriya. Japan was in complete turmoil over what had happened in the last few days. Suddenly, without any explanation, one of the students of the famous and renowned UA Hero School had simply disappeared into thin air when a red symbol had appeared beneath him. But what really sent the population into a panic was that at the same time the villain number 1, also known as the Demon Lord All for One, had disappeared from the maximum security prison Tartarus at the same time as the young hero did. The police and public bodies tried to calm and reassure the population, but the fact that the number 1 hero and symbol of hope, All Might, had retreated while his great enemy was loose somewhere certainly didn't help calm the people down. We moved to the office of the principal of UA, Nezu, a small being in the shape of a white mouse with a scar over his eye. And sitting in front of him was none other than the former peace symbol All Might, who now, after having completely lost his muscular form, was stuck in that of a skeletal blonde man. All Might sighs heavily. So, still nothing. Nezu. Unfortunately no. Takes a sip of tea. No hero has found our missing student yet. I even contacted heroes I know who operate in other countries like America or Russia and they haven't found him either. Takes another sip. How is Mrs. Midoriya? All Might puts his hand in his hair. Devastated is an understatement. He tearfully begged me to find his son. Clenches his fists. I promised that poor woman that nothing would happen to young Midoriya, and I broke that promise. Nezu. Don't be too hard on yourself, old friend. None of us had any kind of control over this matter. I'm sure young Midoriya will be fine. All Might. Young Midoriya is strong but hasn't fully mastered One for All yet and is definitely not ready to face the grit his teeth, All for One. Nezu. We're not entirely sure if his disappearance is connected to Midoriya's. All Might. Yes, we don't have any certain proof, but I have a terrible feeling. However, did you at least find out what the red symbol was that formed under Midoriya's feet before he disappeared? Nezu. Well, yes. After hearing the testimonies of those present and after some research, we found out what it was about. So the sentient mouse took a piece of paper from a drawer of his desk and handed it to the former number 1 hero who saw its contents, which was the image of a pentagon. All Might. Look, Nezu. Are you kidding me? Nezu. Not at all. The description is identical to the one given by our students. All Might. I hope you're not telling me now that young Midoriya was kidnapped by demons, because that would be. Nezu. Interrupts him, absurd. Well, yes, but remember, up until 100 years ago, the very concept of a quirk was considered absurd, and yet here we are. I'm not telling you to believe that your successor and perhaps your greatest enemy were kidnapped by demons, but I'm asking you not to rule out any possibility. All Might didn't like this situation at all. He didn't know what to believe in, and the only thing he wanted was to know that his successor was safe and that All for One was as far away from the boy as possible. What he didn't know was that this last wish hadn't come true. The few seconds Izuku looked into All for One's face felt like years, years of pure, simple silence. Silence that was broken by Pandemonica, who adjusted her glasses and walked, standing in front of Izuku, looking at the two imposing figures on the pillar. Pandemonica. Lord Satan, I hope you have a good explanation to give Lucifer for bringing not one but apparently 2 humans to hell, and also. Izuku. Grabs her arm. Monica, get behind me. Pandemonica turned to look at the green-haired human to protest, but as soon as she saw his look that conveyed fear, anger and determination, she decided to listen to him. All for One. Your friend has a nice character. Coming back to us. Jump from the pillar, landing on the ground. I'm sorry we had to meet in a place like this, but, points to Satan, if it wasn't for this gentleman here we would never have met at all. Izuku. Activate your quirk. What do you want? Satan. Isn't it obvious, brat? Your power, and while we're at it, your soul. At these words all the girls stiffened, all 3 Cerberus growled, Azazel's eyes widened in shock and made light appear from the palms of his hands, and Modius activated his giant hammer. All for One. I know the idea of losing your soul isn't appealing, but I'm afraid you don't have much say in the matter. Your only choice is whether we take your power and your soul by hook or by crook. Transforms his arm into a mass of flesh and spikes. Izuku didn't know what to do. Even though he was trying to keep calm, he was terrified, but suddenly a voice in his head screamed. Run. Use smokescreen. The hero in training didn't know who that voice was, but he was damn right. A large cloud of purple smoke quickly formed around the group. All for One. Oh, look at that. It seems like you've mastered the quirks of the previous One for All users. My compliments. Not even All Might could do that. Satan landed next to AFO and flapped his wings with a sharp thump, clearing the purple mist, revealing the group was escaping. Melina. Who the fuck is that? Azazel. Writes in the notebook. Does not resemble any kind of demon I have read about in demonology books. Izuku. That's not a demon. That's a villain from Earth. Azazel. Oh right, I almost forgot about the gift you were recently given. Smiles. Well, there's no problem with that. Everyone. What? At this point the angel stops and turns towards Satan and All for One. He laid his hands on them and said some sentences in Latin. Azazel. Angustos ex Ivine. Hands begin to glow. Suddenly, around Satan and All for One, a kind of luminous chains formed, starting from the ground. The chains, with a life of their own, wrapped themselves around the 2 beings and blocked them in place. All for One smiled and shook himself to break the chains, however they didn't move an inch. The demon lord's smile completely disappeared. AFO. Behold Satan, what is this? Satan. He tugs at his chains trying to free himself. Angelic chains. The demon of wrath became agitated and pulled at the chains, trying to tear them from the ground, and unlike AFO, he was getting results as cracks began to form on his chains. Azazel. Oh, we better get back to running. Melina. You say. Satana. Let's see you later, Stolos. Don't let them get away. A dull cry was heard in the sky and the shadow of the demonic owl was cast over the group. Strata. He smiles. Well, guys, it's time to fly. He takes some crosses from his pocket and throws them into the air. The crosses fly towards Stolos, who croaks in pain as the holy objects come into contact with his feathered skin, burning it. Modius also throws his big hammer towards the bird, which is hit full on and then falls to the ground. The demonic bird quickly gets up and lets out a loud screech, but is stopped when Izuku uses Black Whip to hurl rocks at it. The group then started running again and they were able to see in the distance the exit from the Circle of Wrath. Satan growls in anger as one of the chains holding his arm snaps and even more cracks form on the others. Satana. Let's see each other, stop them. Immediately after, about 30 skeleton demons emerged from the ground and positioned themselves in front of the exit to block the group. And at this point Izuku heard a voice in his head again, different from the previous one. Hit the floor. Again, the UA student took the advice and hit the ground running with 1 for all's 45%. The strong blow created cracks under the enemy's feet and the earth began to shake until it collapsed, creating a ditch into which the skeleton demons fell. Soon after, the green-haired boy creates a small bridge with his black whip, which the group uses to avoid falling into the pit full of skeleton demons and finally escape the Circle of Wrath. At the sight of this, Satan's anger reaches incalculable levels and he finally breaks all the chains that held him captive. After which he turns towards AFO and after a few powerful tugs he also breaks his chains. All for One. Watch the chains dissolve into thin air. This power, it's nothing I've ever seen before. Satan. Yes, it's angelic power. All we needed was this. A fucking angel to get in our way, at least it was a low-ranking one. If it had been a seraph or an archangel, it would probably have taken us hours to free ourselves. The power of angels far surpasses that of quirks. This gives us a high obstacle. He makes something and smiles even if he doesn't have a mouth, but not insurmountable. All for One. What does it mean? Satan. There is someone with a power far superior to that angel. Someone who will even give us a hand to get our hands on the human if we tell him the right words. All for One. He puts his hands behind his back. And who would this person be? Satan opens his hand, on which a female figure made of fire with long horns is formed, holding long chains in her hand. Satan. The High Prosecutor himself. All for One. With a big smile. Well then, what are we waiting for? The group had fortunately managed to escape from the Circle of Anger and reach what Pandemonica called the Circle of Laziness. Melina. Let me get this straight, that guy from before is a 200-year-old lunatic who wants your power, right? Izuku. Practically yes. Melina. And now apparently he's here and he's even working with Satan. Could it get any worse? Pandemonica. Don't worry, as soon as we reach the CEO, she'll sort things out, send Izuku home, and severely punish Lord Stana for breaking the laws of hell. That's why we need to hurry. There's not much left now. We just have to pass the test of Belphegor, the leader of this circle, get past the Circle of Greed, pass through the City of Demons, and finally reach Lucifer in the Circle of Pride. Izuku. What about All for One? Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses. Well, since he deliberately attacked some official personnel of hell, he certainly won't return to the mortal world in one piece, if he returns. Strata. Well, it will certainly be a fun show to see. Azazel. Of course. In an excited voice, seeing and documenting a manifestation of a demon like Lucifer as graduation material. Look at the cross of Strata. If I may ask, why do you have that around your neck? If I remember correctly, crosses and other blessed objects are harmful to demons. Strata. Smiles mischievously. I know, and that's why I carry it with me. Izuku and Azazel. In unison. I don't think I understand. Melina. Annoyed. Or, let's go, isn't it obvious? She's a masochist. Izuku and Azazel. Masochist. Modius. In short, it's someone who takes pleasure in feeling pain, not something I practice, but I admit it has its charms. Izuku. Oh, look, do you really like Strata? Strata. He smokes his cigarette. What can I say? Everyone has their own tastes. He brings his face close to Izuku's and smiles. Does he cause any problems by any chance? Izuku. Blushing, and no, absolutely. Betrayal. Pensando, oh, I already love this boy. As he walked, Izuku noticed that all the lost souls in that circle were lying on the ground with their eyes closed, and around them were strange humanoid beings with gray skin and a street lamp in place of a head whose light was projected onto the souls, their light that prevented them from sleeping, which made the souls of the sinners moan. Izuku. Disturbed, what are those things? Pandemonica. Those are light heads, the punishing demons of this circle. They force the tired mortal souls to stay awake despite the constant need and desire to sleep in the air. Some time ago one escaped to the human world and even photographed by a human, but luckily it was considered a fake. Actually, since the hero in training felt a sort of air of tiredness ever since he entered that group, and the more he continued, that feeling of drowsiness increased. Izuku. And have they always been streetlights? Relaxed female voice. No, at first they were torches, then they became lanterns, and finally I guess they became street lamps. Izuku turned toward the voice, bracing himself for some kind of evil demon, but stopped when he saw it was a girl. She has a short ponytail at the back of her head, tied with a red bandana. Two small, rounded black horns protrude from her hair. She has white eyebrows and wears sunglasses. She has a black tie with two silver clasps holding it to her red shirt. She wears a black jacket, which she wears unbuttoned at the shoulders. She was sitting on a rock next to one of the lost souls, stroking his head. Cerberus. All three excited. Justice. Immediately the triple demon ran towards the newcomer and hugged her and licked her cheeks, making her laugh. Pandemonica. Pull Cerberus by the tail. Cerberus. Leave Supreme Justice alone. Justice. Hee hee, it's nice to hear you, girl, but we're pretty far from the circle of gluttony, and besides, whose voice was that? Wait, with a little smile, don't tell me you found a boyfriend. Since when have you been hanging out with the Pandemonica boys? Pandemonica. Blushing, and it doesn't matter. His name is Izuku, he's a human, and I'm Modius. Cerberus, Melina, Modius, Strata, and even an angel are taking him to the CEO. Justice stood up from the rock and looked around as if he didn't see Izuku. Justice. Really, where is he? I want to know if he's really human. He holds out his hand toward nothing. Izuku looked at the woman in confusion before reaching the conclusion that she was blind, so he stood in front of her and shook her hand. Izuku. Shake hands. Nice to meet you, my name is Izuku. Justice. So, I'm shaking hands with a human, right? Epic. He starts touching Izuku's face, making him blush. Oh, that's right, you're a real, living human. It's nice to meet you, Izuku. I'm Justice. Strata. Oh, how I wish you could see this. Jay is just adorable when she blushes. Justice. He turns toward the source of the noise. It's nice to hear from you, Strata. It's been a long time since I spoke to any of you. Strata. Exactly. Takes another cigarette and notices that there are no others. Hell, it would be better if there were cigarette machines in the human world. Justice. Oh, you want to visit the human world? How cute. Melina. Growls in annoyance. Can we leave now? This journey is longer than I expected. And Belphegor certainly won't make it any easier. At these words Izuku looked at Justice and started thinking. Izuku. Pensando, she's all alone here. She said it's been a long time since she talked to anyone. It would be wrong to leave her here alone. And then she seems the most normal of all. Izuku. Smiles. Do you want to join us, Miss Justice? Justice. Bright smile. Of course. You seem like a smart guy. The more the merrier, right? She takes his hand as she blushes and he blushes too. Do you mind if you come with me? Izuku. Absolutely not. It's a pleasure to help. Justice. Thank you so much, Izuku, and please take off the miss. Just call me Justice. Izuku. Embarrassed. Oh, okay, as you wish. Justice. Don't worry. Smile. I can feel you're tense, but don't worry, I don't bite. So the group continued their journey although they were slightly slowed down by Justice's blindness. Izuku. Justice, if it's okay, may I ask how you lost your sight? Justice. Oh, it's a very epic story. You see, a long time ago, Hell was attacked by a terrible monster, a creature from the greatest depths of existence, a being we call, dramatic pause, the Leviathan. I was the High Prosecutor of Hell at the time, so I had to fight that thing, and it was an absolutely fantastic battle. In the end, I won, and the Leviathan was imprisoned for eternity. However, it cost me my eyesight, and my job, but hey, the girl who replaced me is absolutely qualified. Everyone was silent at this tale. The demon girls remembered the event as if it had been yesterday while Azazel wrote in respectful silence in his notebook the story he had heard. Izuku. Surprised, wow, that was very brave of you, Justice. Justice. Well, they don't call me the exceptional demon for no reason, hee. So the group continued on their way and those who could see saw a long mountain at the edge of the circle of laziness. The group, with the new addition Justice, climbed the mountain at whose summit, according to Pandemonica, would be the demon king of that circle. Izuku noticed that the higher he climbed, the stronger that air of sleepiness became. Pandemonica. Long yawn. Okay, listen to me carefully. Once we get to the top all we have to do is yawn, and convince Belphegor to let us pass. Melina. And yawn, as yawn, should we do to yawn, to convince him? Damn, I'm so fucking tired. Izuku. Yawn, honestly I'm also, yawn, very tired, rubs his eyes, and the tiredness increases with every step. Azazel. Oh, that must be Belphegor's famous, yawn. Yawn. Justice. Yeah, yawn, that lazy boy releases his breath all over the circle, yawn, to make the lost souls sleepy making them want to sleep, yawn, but then the light heads come and keep them awake. Azazel. That's right, it's one of the most unique and interesting demonic abilities, rubs his eyes and then takes notes. Melina. Yes, but her, yawning, bad breath affects us too. Strata. Meh, she rubs her eyes, I don't mind too much. Pandemonica. Stop complaining, we're here. And indeed the group had finally arrived at the top of the great mountain, where there was the door to the next round blocked by a gate and in front of it a small stone pillar on which rested a thing. What is the only possible term to describe that creature? It was a mass of opaque flesh fused to the pillar itself. Some tentacles were sprouting from the back of the creature and were moving lazily in the air. The skin of the being seemed to form some kind of distorted faces that seemed to be trying to come out, and finally the lower part of the creature consisted of a pair of arms that had tentacles instead of hands and a skeletal head with long gray hair. The mere sight of that horrible being disgusted Izuku, and he was grateful he hadn't eaten in the morning. Belphegor. Tired voice. Justice. Modius. Cerberus. And the rest of them. Cerberus all three, happily. Hello Belphegor. Justice. Waving in the wrong direction. Hey Belph. I hear you're tired as always. Azazel. Excited, incredible. Yawn. The first non-violent encounter with a high-level demon. Modius. Hey, I'm high-level too. She rubs her eyes in annoyance. Belphegor. Tired voice. You've come so far with that human, so much effort, why? Did you toil so hard in vain? Pandemonica. Listen, Lord Belphegor, we're just passing through, yawn. We want to meet with the CEO of Hell to bring our, yawn, friend Izuku back to the human world, so if you could be so kind as to open the gates. Belphegor. Why should I do that? To open the gates I have to press that button. He points wearily with one tentacle to a small button half a meter away from him, and it would just be too much work for me. Izuku. Pensando. What? It's an absolutely minimal movement. He just needs to move his tentacle slightly. Strata. Listen to Lord Belphegor, what do you think of, yawning, challenging the boy in question to his impossible test? Izuku. What do you say? Strata. Don't worry, she smiles lasciviously at him, you just have to stay awake for a while. Belphegor. Stanko, the challenge. Very well then, human, angel and demons, if you wish to leave my circle, you will have to stay awake for a good 5 minutes while I release my power upon you. If you all fall asleep, you will remain here for eternity, but if even one remains awake, he gives a demonic yawn, you can leave. Azazel. Excited, oh good heavens. A practical demonstration of Belphegor's power, oh I'll get the degree so badly. Cerberus 1. Man, some people ended up in comas because of the challenge. Cerberus 2. Some are even dead. Cerberus 3. For real. Izuku. Yawn, if risking your life is the price to go home, then so be it. Belphegor. Perfect. Open your jaws slowly. After inhaling the air, the creature let out a large purple smoke from its mouth that covered the entire top of the mountain. Suddenly all the demon girls began to slowly lower their eyelids, they were visibly tired. The green-haired boy was also exhausted, his legs began to shake and his eyelids were becoming monstrously heavy. In about a minute and 30 seconds Strata, Modius and Cerberus, all three of them obviously, were on the ground sleeping. The UA student's knees were about to give out. In 2 minutes and 4 seconds Azazel fell asleep, and incredibly in his sleep he wrote in his notebook as if it were a natural instinct like breathing. In 2 minutes and 58 seconds Melina had fallen asleep, but not before taking a sip from her bottle of alcohol and calling Belphegor an asshole before collapsing to the ground. In 3 minutes and 24 seconds Justice lowered himself to the ground and smiled and then closed his blind eyes behind his sunglasses and fell asleep. Izuku's knees finally gave out and the hero fell to the ground half asleep. In 3 minutes and 49 seconds Pandemonica also fell asleep, but not before looking worriedly at the green-haired boy. With only a minute left in the test, Izuku was very close to falling asleep completely. Izuku. Thinking, no. I can't fall asleep. I can't abandon my classmates, my mother, Eri. In Izuku's head, bang your hand against the rock. Izuku. Thinking, what? He looks at a sharp stone in front of him. In Izuku's head, quickly, press your hand hard on the rock, the pain will be stronger than the instinct to sleep. Izuku listened to the voice in his head again, and with the last bit of energy left in his body he violently slammed his hand against the stone which embedded itself in his flesh. The pain was strong, not as strong as what he felt during the fights but enough to overshadow his deep sleep. Luckily this was enough to last Izuku another minute, and when the 5 minutes were up the smoke from Belphegor's mouth receded and all the girls thankfully regained consciousness. Belphegor. Amazing. You managed to pass my test. Well. I guess I have to make an effort and keep my word. So the mass of flesh moved its tentacle extremely slowly and pressed the button not far from him, and the gate that blocked the exit from the circle of laziness opened. Strata. Yawn, what a good sleep. Am I right, sis? Look, Melina. Oh shut up. Azazel. Oh wonderful. Excited. This will be perfect for my thesis. Justice. Great job, boy, I knew you could do it. Pandemonica. Well, let's go. Now we just have to get through the circle of greed and the city of Dites and finally the circle of pride where the CEO lives. Belphegor. Good luck, and remember, take a nap every now and then. Thus the group overcame the monster and crossed the passage that would lead them to the circle of avarice. The group was walking through the tunnel that would take them to the next circle of hell. Izuku turned to Justice and asked her. Izuku. Hey, Justice, you said earlier that when you lost your job, someone replaced you, right? Who exactly? Justice. Smiles. Well, the role of High Prosecutor went to a fiery girl named Judgment. I've never seen her for obvious reasons, but believe me, she's a really tough girl. Even Satan is afraid to approach her. Izuku. Oh, I see. Is it possible that we'll meet her? Justice. Shrugs. To be honest, I don't think so. The girl always stays at her house. She goes out just when Lucy tells her to. But honestly, I think you would get along. She may seem tough, but underneath she has a big soft heart. Meanwhile, somewhere in hell, now we can see Satan flying towards a gigantic mountain full of spikes, and from here small waterfalls of boiling lava flowed. The King of Wrath landed on a ledge of the mountain where there was the entrance to a large cave from which dozens and dozens of luminous chains came out. Satan. He kneels down. O great High Prosecutor, I urgently request a hearing. There are a few moments of silence. 2 large bright white eyes light up and observe the great demon. Bored female voice. What do you want, Satan? I hope for your sake that you have a good reason for bothering me without any warning, otherwise you'll find yourself in big trouble. Satan. Raise your head. You see, High Prosecutor, there has been a terrible event here in hell, and But before the King of Wrath could finish, a chain wrapped around his neck and pushed him to the ground, causing him to growl in pain. Judgment. I don't care about some natural disaster in hell, it's a waste of my time. Satan. It's not a magnet. He growls. A living human has entered hell. Judgment. The eyes widen. What? At that moment the chain around the gray demon's neck disappears, allowing him to breathe and continue his explanation. Satan. A human with great powers has entered our domain and turned hell upside down. He's taken some of our demons, like the Great Justice, hostage and is heading towards Her Majesty the Queen. The figure's eyes grew even brighter with anger and more chains appeared out of nowhere. Judgment. You furious and tumultuous, how dare a mere mortal challenge this kingdom is unacceptable. Such crimes must be punished severely. I thank you for giving me this information, Lord Satan. Satan. Well, he bows slightly. It is my duty as Lucifer's second-in-command to protect his dominions, if you will. O High Prosecutor, how do you intend to punish this reckless mortal? Judgment. He smiles with shining teeth. I'm going to try something I've had in mind for a while now. It's time to get the sin machine going. As soon as Izuku set foot in the greed circle, he immediately noticed a clear difference from all the other circles he had been in up until now. The color of the rocks and walls was not blood red but garden grass green. Instead of a rocky floor there was a giant transparent glass from which it was possible to see pipes from which banknotes and coins flowed. Lost souls were everywhere and would hit the glass floor trying to get their hands on the money, but the glass was extremely resistant and would not be scratched even by the blows of the souls of sinners. Pandemonica looks around. As much as I hate Lord Mammon for his disgusting coffee, I can't deny that he has a very original way of punishing sinners, showing them in the face the things they have greedily held tight in life but depriving them of the possibility of obtaining them. He talks about karma. Modius. He massages his chin. I agree. Look at Izuku. I love denial games. Izuku blushes brightly. I understand. Strata. Whisper in Izuku's ear. If you didn't understand, it's a sexual thing. Izuku. Whisper back. I know, I just refuse to think about it. Azazel. If I may ask, Miss Pandemonica is preparing to write in her notebook. What should we do to get through this round? Pandemonica. Well, stops in his tracks. We have to reach Lord Mammon's factory and ask his permission to leave. I'm not exactly sure how we'll convince him yet. Melina. Isn't it obvious? He'll ask us to fucking pay for it, of course. What do you expect from the King of Greed? Izuku. That makes sense, and what should we give him? Justice. Well, from what I remember, Mammon loves money as payment, but he accepts objects with great emotional value just as well. Izuku. Emotional. Cerberus 1. Something you really love. Cerberus 2. Something related to your past. Cerberus 3. Something that would make you very sad to leave. Melina. Yeah, that asshole likes to see the sad faces of black people who hand him things they care about a lot. Hearing this, Izuku checked his pockets and noticed that he still had his hero diary. It was the only object he had and also the only one with great sentimental value. If this Mammon had really wanted an object that the young hero cared about, he would have had no choice but to give up the booklet, but he told himself that it was a more than acceptable sacrifice to return home. After a bit of walking, the group found themselves in front of a very tall Gothic structure. It was a sort of gray factory with very tall chimneys that belched gray smoke that spread throughout the ceiling of the circle. From there, the pipes where the money flowed converged and reunited under the structure where the money was sucked up. Izuku. Wow, this is justice. Your voice is surprised, so I guess we've arrived at Mammon's factory. Pandemonica. Justice, some guessed right. Izuku. Mammon's factory. And what does it produce? Azazel. Look at his notebook. Well, my sources say that the demon Mammon's famous factory produces the torture instruments that demons use to torment souls. Strata. True, but not only that. It also produces magazines, sex toys, cigarette smoke, cigarettes, alcohol, basically everything we use on a daily basis. Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses, including the coffee, which is absolutely terrible. Izuku. Eyes, look at her. Really that bad? Pandemonica. You have no idea. Drinking snake urine is better than drinking that crap, which is frustrating since I need at least 1 cup of coffee to be at my peak efficiency. Izuku. Well, I think you're already very efficient in your Monica. Pandemonica. Confused, what? Izuku. He smiles at her. Well, from the very first moment you offered to help me and you were always willing to explain things to me and offer ideas on how to resolve situations to get this far, and I'm really grateful to you, Monica. At these words the demoness's face turned red. No one in her entire existence had ever said those words to her. No one had ever complimented her on her efficiency. This sensation was new to her. Pandemonica. Thanks Izuku, he's getting himself together. Anyway, it's better to hurry. Lord Mammon probably already knows about our arrival and he doesn't like doing business with those who keep him waiting. So the group entered the great factory where to continue they would have to confront a new great lord of hell, Mammon. The group entered the large structure that was Mammon's factory. Izuku looked around and saw various lost souls sitting at stone desks. They were working on various items such as lamps, candles or kitchen utensils. Pandemonica. This is the random items department, the items that we Hellborn use on a daily basis. Azazel. He writes in his notebook, fascinating. The hero in training watched the lost souls working and seemed confused that they were even there in the factory. Pandemonica. Look, Izuku, you seem quite confused. Izuku. Well, yes, I thought demons worked here and not sinners. Justice. Sinners. I don't think Mammon was allowed to take souls. Strata. Well, he started doing it after the Second World War. He is too stingy to give wages to workers, so he hires souls with the promise of a payment that, ironic tone, incredibly never arrives. Melina. Yes, I remember. Mammon considers it an extra voluntary but unknown torture, whatever, drinks alcohol, means. Justice. Oh, I see, he massages his chin, and do Lucy or Judgment know about it? Cerberus 1. Absolutely not. Cerberus 2. Name on this Lucifer. Cerberus 3. So Judgment doesn't know either. Izuku. So Mammon is lying to Lucifer and breaking the laws of hell. Justice. Yeah, and honestly it doesn't surprise me too much. Even when I was the high prosecutor many lied and circumvented the rules imposed by our queen. As great as Lucifer is, he isn't taken very seriously, except when he gets really pissed off or when he calls Judgment. Azazel. Writes in his notebook, interesting. Izuku. Pensando, Lucifer, the king or rather queen of hell, isn't taken seriously by his subjects. Well, if that's not crazy. Then the group entered another room where the souls this time were working on various types of weapons. Some were working on melee weapons such as spiked clubs, fists and even medieval swords, while some were working on firearms such as pistols, rifles and explosives of various types. Pandemonica. This is the weapons department. They are mostly used in the Circle of Wrath by skeletons to torture wrathful souls, but sometimes they also use them in the city of Dite. The inhabitants of that place often wage war on each other. Azazel. Writes in the notebook, yes, let's continue, this is so perfect for my studies. In the next room there were no more lost souls, but there were tall figures wrapped in a completely black hat and hood. The little visible skin on their hands was rotten like that of a corpse in an advanced state of decomposition. They emitted deep, regular breaths interrupted by some guttural moans. With a single laying on of the hands they created food from nothing, like bread or pieces of meat, but they seemed opaque. Justice. Looks around. I recognize those lines, fabricators right. Pandemonica. Already, annoyed tone. We are now in the food department. Here the manufacturers who are special demons create food and drinks. Growls with annoyance. Izuku. And let me guess, they make the coffee you hate here, right? Pandemonica. Exactly. Honestly, all the food the fabricators make is kinda gross. The fabricators turn to her. No offense obviously, look forward. Anyway, we should have arrived at Mammon's office. Modius. Wait, where's the sex toys section? Pandemonica. Blushes slightly. Is located at the back of the factory, and anyway we are not here for that. Modius. Oh right, look Izuku, too bad though, it would have been nice to prepare for the future. Izuku. It's getting very, very, very red. Let's move on. Opens the office door. As soon as he entered the office, the hero in training met his gaze with that of a tall figure with light brown skin. He was wearing an elegant light blue suit and a red tie. His face was humanoid with a smile full of small sharp teeth similar to those of a white schoolboy. His 3 eyes were dull yellow. His ears were pointed like those of a kind of elf and he had a sort of tail behind his head that was sucking in some banknotes on the desk where he was sitting. Observe the group. It's been hours since you guys showed up. I hate waiting, damn it. Izuku. You have to be. Mammon. Mammon. You guessed it, kid. The king of greed, or if you prefer, the richest demon in all of damned hell. I know you, you know. You're the human boy who built a harem and wants to go home. At this statement everyone blushes, some slightly Modius, Justice, Strata, Cerberus and some much more heavily Izuku, Azazel, Melina, Pandemonica. Izuku. Shakes hands, and no way. And it's not a harem. Mammon. Yes, yes, whatever you say, I already know why you're here. You want me to open the gate to the city of yours, right? Well, I don't do anything for nothing, my dear boy. You see in this place what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine alone, is it clear? Pandemonica. And what do you desire, Supreme Mammon? Mammon. Isn't it obvious? Money, and if you don't have any, a personal item. At this point Izuku immediately understood what he had to do. He stepped forward and handed the King of Greed his notebook. Izuku. This is a very important object to me. I've had it since I was little. I hope it'll be enough to get Mr. Mammon through. He hands him the notebook. Mammon takes the notebook and looks at it. Let's see, his third eye opens and begins to glow. Yes, I can sense the attachment you have to this stupid piece of paper. Izuku. So, can we go? Mammon. He looks at him smiling. Well, a flame appears in his hand and burns the notebook. No. Izuku. Open your eyes wide. What? Mammon. You see, that whole story about me accepting items with great personal value is just bullshit I spread for fun. If you don't have money, and plenty of it, you'll never leave here. Bursts out laughing. At these words Izuku couldn't help but cry a little. He had just sacrificed one of the things most important to him, only to find out that it had all been for nothing. A tear fell on Justice's hand and she immediately understood that the boy who was holding her hand was crying and her usual smile disappeared and she let go of his grip and then walked towards Mammon. All three Cerberus looked at Izuku and then looked at Mammon with faces full of anger and started growling in unison as their eyes glowed with energy. Mammon. Notice Cerberus Justice, EH. Modius summoned his hammer and approached the King of Greed with murderous intent. Melina took a sip from her bottle and then smashed it against a wall making it very sharp. Strata simply put on a glove and took a large cross from his pocket. Pandemonica takes out a pair of sharp pens and throws them onto the desk, making them stick into the hard stone. Mammon. He stops smiling and looks at her scared. Oh, shit. He turns and runs towards a door. But Azazel placed a hand in the direction of the door and blessed chains appeared around the knob that blocked the exits. Justice. Cerberus, Portalo Dami. At that moment the three jumped on the greedy demon and started to hit him with scratches and bites making him scream in pain. Then they dragged him to the feet of the fantastic demon. Mammon. Scared, Justice. My old friend, how can I help you? Justice. Scratches his head. Well, grabs him by the arm and lifts him up with superhuman strength. I may be blind but I can still recognize obvious injustices. I've heard that for some time now you've been in the habit of taking on human souls. Now you know very well that this goes against the rules of hell, and you know very well what would happen to you if Lucifer and therefore also judgment found out. Mammon. Here, I. Listen, Justice, I was in a personnel course and I. Justice. Let's do this. Smile. You let us pass and dismiss all human souls and I'll let you go with a warning, okay? Let go of the arm causing Mammon to fall to the ground. Mammon. Damn. Sure. Runs to his desk and presses a button. Soon after the wall behind the office opened, revealing the passage to the city of Dite. Izuku watched the whole scene and wiped his tears. Izuku. Our girls, thank you. Justice. Smiles and looks more or less in his direction. Well, I may be retired but it's still my duty to put old socks like Mammon in line. Modius. Blushing, why you're welcome, darling. Why just give me a reward. Cerberus all three, they smile and wag their tails, imagine master. Melina. Blushes, don't get any strange ideas, I only did it because that asshole was getting on my nerves too much. Azazel. Blushes, it's a pleasure to be helpful, makes a slight elegant bow. Strata. Don't mention it, buddy, you're prettier when you're not crying, smoke a cigarette. Pandemonica. Blushes, well after those words it was the least. See anyway we have to go, our trip is almost over. The group walked past Mammon's desk who had hidden under the desk out of fear. Mammon. Nervous smile, gee good luck. And please don't tell Lucifer anything. So the group disappeared into the passage that would soon take them to the city of Dite. The group reached what Pandemonica described as the City of Fingers, the city where all Hellborns lived and the last stop before the Circle of Pride where the CEO of Hell resided. Justice. Ah. Smell the air. I may not be able to see how this city has physically changed but its usual magnificent smell of flames and perfectly charred flesh will never, ever change. Look Izuku, what do you think Izuku? Izuku. Looks around. Well, it's picturesque. It looks a lot like a modern human city, it's not like it's depicted in the Divine Comedy. In fact, the hero in training had always imagined the city of Dite as dark, hellish, surrounded by black walls, flaming towers, ruled by devils, a city of pain, deception, damnation and eternal fire and instead, it was an American city with pitch-black concrete skyscrapers and a dull red sky surrounded by a lake of boiling lava. Azazel. Oh, the Divine Comedy. It helped me a lot with my research, I even did an exclusive interview with Dante Alighieri himself. Justice. Oh yes, I remember Dante, with that old fox Virgil running around in hell, those were good times. Melina. Don't remind me, I didn't understand a damn thing that guy was saying, he looked like he had a head injury that prevented him from making sentences. Pandemonica. However, a long time has passed since Dante described the city. A few hundred years ago the Queen decided to give the place a more modern touch, taking inspiration from modern human cities. Shortly after a few minutes of walking the group reached a specific apartment and stopped in front of it. Pandemonica. Okay everyone, this is my condo we will stay here for the night. Melina. Bored tone, can't we just go to Lucifer directly? Justice. You know very well that Lucy only receives visitors in the early morning and even though I can't see the sky I'm pretty sure it's evening. Izuku. Well, the trip's almost over now. One last break certainly can't hurt. Melina. Looks at him and rolls her eyes. Okay, but if you think I'm going to sleep on the couch forget it. Azazel. Oh, how exciting. I'm about to enter a demon's house. Graduation is guaranteed. He has star-shaped eyes. Izuku. Look at her. Hey, Azazel, why don't you relax a bit? I understand that you really care about this graduation thing, but don't you think it would be a good idea to take a break? The female angel looks up from her notebook and stares at the green-haired human's face for a few seconds before looking back at her notebook and putting it aside. Azazel. I suppose you're right, I think I can continue my notes tomorrow with a fresh mind. So the group entered the building and then Pandemonica's apartment which was quite spacious with the dominant colors being white and bright red. Izuku. Wow, Monica this place is beautiful. Pandemonica. Blushes brightly, thanks, anyway it's time to talk about the topic of who will sleep where. Look Cerberus will sleep on the first couch. Look Strata will sleep on the second couch. Look Justice, the Justice will take the first bed in the guest room. Look Melina and Azazel, Melina takes the second guest bed and Azazel the third. Look Modius, as for you, you will sleep on the floor, don't worry I have a sleeping bag. Izuku. Excuse me, and me. Where do I sleep? Pandemonica. Con me. Izuku. Blushes like a tomato, what? Azazel. Oh, Melina. Hey, that's cheating, you bitch with glasses. Justice. Oh you want it all for yourself Monica. Old fox I respect you girl. Modius. Hey, he's mine. Cerberus all three it's not fair. Strata. That's fine with me. Pandemonica. There are no other alternatives unfortunately. I don't have any other sleeping bags and I don't think you want to sleep on the toilet seat or the kitchen table, am I right? Izuku. I guess that makes sense, in its own way. Pandemonica. Don't worry, he adjusts his glasses, won't be anything embarrassing or anything like that. Shortly after, the scene shows us Izuku lying on a bed with red blankets and pillows with Pandemonica sleeping on top of him, hugging his body. The demon girl was sleeping soundly with long, regular breaths while the hero in training had his eyes wide open as he couldn't sleep due to the embarrassment of the situation. Pandemonica woke up to a very sweet inviting smell. She opened her red eyes and the first thing she noticed was that Izuku wasn't there. The demon girl got up from her bed, gave a short yawn, put her glasses back on, and walked out of her bedroom to find the green-haired human. The tired demon entered the living room following the strangely pleasant smell and saw the whole group sitting at the dining table while they were eating and enjoying some delicious-looking chocolate crepes. Pandemonica looked towards the kitchen and was surprised to see Izuku at the stove, cooking another crepe. Izuku turns to her. Oh. Good morning, Monica, have a seat, your crepe will be ready soon. Justice. Oh, Monica, are you here? Sit down, girl, you have to try these culinary masterpieces. If my eyes worked like they used to, I'd be crying because they're so good. Cerberus 1. They're delicious. Cerberus 2. Magnificent. Cerberus 3. The best thing we've ever eaten. Melina. It's not bad. Thinking, damn it's so good. Modius. This sweet, touches his chest, awakens in me the deepest desires. Strata. I have to say, have a bite. I'm not a fan of sweet things but, have another bite, damn is this stuff delicious. Azazel. Praise be to the Lord for giving us this delicious meal. The demon with glasses looked at the scene in confusion for a few seconds before sitting down at the table. A few moments later, Izuku placed a plate with a crepe on it in front of her. Pandemonica. Thanks, I guess. Izuku. He smiles kindly at her. There's no need to thank her. It was the least I could do after you let us stay at your house and helped me since our first meeting. Pandemonica simply nods and takes a bite of the crepe, and as soon as she puts it in her mouth her eyes widen at how damn good it is. Pandemonica. Damn, look Izuku, how the hell did you create something so good? Izuku scratches the back of his head. Well, I'm just good at making sweets, it's a talent I recently discovered. Justice. Good, darling, I'm one of the oldest entities in existence, and I assure you, in millennia I've never tasted anything like this. Thumbs up, Justice says. Izuku blushes, thanks. Time jump. After breakfast, the group finally headed to the deepest part of Hell, the Circle of Pride, the home of Hell's CEO. This circle was much smaller than the others, it was simply a gigantic cavern with dark rock walls. At the center of the cave was a huge, coal-black palace with a pentagon carved above the entrance, surrounded by a lake of lava. Pandemonica. Okay, this is the Queen's fortress. It seems like our journey is finally over. Cerberus 1. Finally. Cerberus 2. We will reach the human world. Cerberus 3. Humanity will be corrupted. Melina. It's about time, damn it. Azazel. I'm about to meet the demon lord herself, how exciting. Izuku. Look at the girls, thank you so much for the help girls, I couldn't have done it without you. Shortly after, the group entered the fortress. It was rather empty. Izuku expected it to be full of guards since it was the home of the queen herself, but he didn't ask himself too many questions and walked along the long corridor with the girls that ended with a withered wooden door. As soon as the large door was opened, the group found themselves in front of a host of demons wearing heavy black armor who were staring at them with looks full of hatred and anger. Female voice. Let the human pass. Immediately all the dark knights stepped aside but did not let the other girls pass. The green-haired human pushed his way through the soldiers to find himself face to face with a short demon girl with pale skin, red irises, a black arrow-tipped ponytail, and silvery white hair. Her hair is long and tied at the ends, with her bangs held back by a black, spiked tiara. Her horns are white and jagged, a trait indicative of her incredibly advanced age. Her eyes are narrow, and there's a mole under her left eye. She was undoubtedly Lucifer. Lucifer. Well, what do we have here? The little green-haired human who entered my kingdom and befriended a lot of demon girls and even an angel. I've heard a lot about you, you know. Izuku Midoriya. Izuku. Nervous, really. Lucifer. Takes a sip of wine. Certainly my dear, news travels fast here in Hell, especially when it has to reach my ears. Izuku. Well, Your Highness, then I assume you already know the reason I'm here. Lucifer. Sure, smiles evilly. You want to go home to the land of the living, but honestly, I have other plans. Watches him carefully. The rumors were so true. You really are adorable. Smiles even more when he sees Izuku blush. I have an idea. Give me a single reason why I should send you back to the mortal world and I will do it without a problem, but if you don't give me a reason that pleases me, I will make you my servant. Licks his lips, and believe me it won't be such an unpleasant thing for you. Izuku. Pensando. Wait, is she flirting with me? Is the Queen of Hell flirting with me? The UA student didn't know what to say. What an idiot he was to go to the evil lady and ask her kindly to take him home without expecting her to ask for something in return. In a panic Izuku said the first thing that came to his mind. Izuku. See crepes. I can make you some chocolate crepes. Realize what he said and think. I'm finished. Pandemonica. Justice. Cerberus all three. Melina. Betrayal. Modius. Azazel. Demon Knights. Lucifer. Frowns slightly. Crepes. Are you serious? By now Izuku had accepted his fate and was sorry he hadn't written a will when. Lucifer. Well, you're in luck. I have a weakness for crepes. You can return to the mortal realm. Izuku. Really? See, can I go home? Lucifer. Smiles kindly. Of course. I'll personally escort you to the Great Gate soon. You know what, Izuku? I think a little break from my royal duties might do me good, especially in a sunny place like the human world. Izuku. Looks at her confused. So, she wants to come with me to Earth. Lucifer. You guessed it, and I can even bring your friends if they want. Point to the other demon girls. The girls except Pandemonica and Azazel. Yes, absolutely, why not? Azazel. It will be a pleasure to study the behavior of demons in mortal territory. Pandemonica. Well, I guess it wouldn't be bad to take a break, and then Izuku can make me that damn coffee he promised me. Izuku smiled. Finally that long, winding but ultimately beautiful journey was coming to an end. He was finally about to return home to the people he cared about, but his joy was suddenly interrupted by the doors of the room swinging open, revealing two bright white eyes looking the green-haired boy straight in the face with an expression of contempt. Judgment. Izuku Midoriya. Do you know who I am? The figure stepped out of the shadows and into the room, revealing herself to be a demon girl who differs drastically from the other demon girls Izuku had encountered, lacking her trademark gloves, buttoned-up red shirt, and pants. Instead, she wears a torn jacket that exposes her midriff and a bra that doesn't fasten in the front, partially exposing her ample breasts. She wears a thick belt with a pentagram-shaped medallion attached to a chain, and only underwear rather than pants. She also has an armband with the number 20 in Roman letters XX. Justice. Oh, I'd recognize that voice anywhere. Hello Judgment. How are you, girl? I hope you're doing well. What brings you here? Judgment. Supreme Justice, move away from that human. Points accusingly at Izuku. You dared to cause chaos in the 9 circles of hell, and even worse, you took demons hostage, Azazel note, and even an angel from heaven. Don't you realize that this could start a war? You're in deep, mortal trouble. Izuku. Wait, what? Justice. Whispers in his ear. I believe Satan lied to her. As much as Judgment is extremely competent as a senior prosecutor, she is often fooled if you use the right words and credible explanations. Izuku. Listen, Miss Judgment, there's been a serious misunderstanding. You see, I absolutely didn't take anyone hostage, and I didn't even end up here of my own volition. Judgment. Lies. Now we will see your inner sin. Lucifer. Frowning. High Prosecutor, please stop this tantrum. This human is mine. Look at the soldiers, guards, escort Judgment out of my castle. The guards. They don't move an inch. Lucifer. Looks at them confused. Huh, what are you waiting for? I'm your queen. Izuku. Look, Lucifer. Wait, did you say I belong to you, or was that a? But the green-haired boy was interrupted when the tall prosecutor placed his hands in his direction and a luminous chain formed around his neck, and he was pulled with human strength towards the demoness, which brought his face extremely close to hers, which made him blush. Judgment. Now we'll see what's really in your heart. Lucifer. Judgment, let him go this very moment. Judgment. He doesn't even seem to hear it. And at the first drop of sin, you will be sent to the darkest and most disgusting hole mouth of the circle of gluttony. Lucifer. He has a tick in one eye. Can you tell me why no one follows my orders? The chains around Izuku's body begin to glow and the human's eyes widen as he feels his entire life flash before him. The senior prosecutor's confident smile suddenly disappeared, replaced by an expression of confusion, shock, and guilt. Judgment. What the hell? He said that. Pandemonica. What's going on? Justice. I'm not sure, but from Judgment's tone of voice, I assume he's using his demonic ability on Izuku, the chains of truth, which allow him to peer into someone's soul. I assume you're seeing that Izuku's soul is free of guilt or sin. Azazel. Interesting. Look Izuku, he hoped that now she will calm down and let him go. Judgment. Look, Izuku, you've never committed even the slightest sin in your life. It makes the chains disappear. Izuku. I suppose so. Judgment. I apologize to you Izuku Midoriya. I have unfairly judged you without any certain proof of your crimes. As the High Prosecutor of Hell, I should have behaved more impartially. Izuku. Don't worry, you were just doing your job and then you were also deceived, he smiles at her. Judgment. He blushes and thinks, what the hell? What the hell is this feeling? Why is this human so cute? Justice. Look, Strata. Izuku is smiling at her, right? Strata. Yes, how do you know? Justice. I can sense Judgment's awkwardness from miles away. Lucifer. He adjusts his robe. Well, High Prosecutor, now that you've calmed down and we've made things clear, I think the time has come to judge the real culprits of this situation. Judgment. Yes, Your Majesty. Satan will pay dearly for daring to lie to me and breaking the laws of hell by summoning a human. As soon as I find him and lay my hands on him. Lucifer. There won't be any need to find him, I'll take care of that. I'll bring Satan and his accomplices here immediately. Snap your fingers. As soon as the Queen of Hell snapped her fingers a huge column of fire appeared. After a few seconds the column disappeared and where it had been there were now Satan, All for One and Stolos. Satan. Look at Lucifer who's glaring at him, then Izuku who's glaring at him, and then Judgment who's glaring at him with a murderous look. Shit. Satan looked from Izuku to Judgment to Lucifer at microsecond intervals. Stolos turned his head in all directions looking for a possible escape route while All for One was about to launch himself against the green-haired boy but was blocked by Judgment's energy chains who peered into the soul of the symbol of evil. Judgment. Thoughts? Damn, I haven't felt my heart so full of sin since I judged Hitler's soul. After a handful of seconds the Lord of Wrath let out a loud gulp before finally speaking. Satan. Nervous voice. Hey Lucy. Some Judgment. I see you've captured the human who caused so much. Lucifer. Lift your eyes to the sky. Enough of the bullshit Satan, I know what you've done. Judgment. The eyes light up with anger. You broke the highest laws of hell by bringing here an innocent human. And look one with one of the darkest and most evil souls that ever existed, and then you dared to outwit the Supreme Prosecutor, that is, me, by attacking the human and making a fool of yourself in front of the Queen herself. What do you have to say in your defense? Satan. Well, I look thinking, maybe I can still turn the tables to my advantage. Lucifer. So, King of Wrath. Do you have anything to say before you get your comeuppance? Satan. Well, smiles, when you really have nothing to say, act. With that, the gray demon suddenly turned towards All for One and touched his chest with his hand which began to glow red. Soon after, Villain Number One's body began to transform into small, bright purple particles that entered the Wrath Demon's hand. Lucifer and Judgment's eyes widened in horror as they saw what was happening to AFO, recognizing the spell while the rest of the group watched the scene in confusion. Justice. Confused. Hey girls. What's the dead silence? What's going on? Modius. Satan touched the other human with his hand and now the other human is starting to disappear. Justice. His smile suddenly disappears and is replaced by a look of panic. Oh shit, the spirit absorption spell. Izuku. The spell of what? Justice. An ancient demonic spell that allows a demon to gain the energy of a mortal's soul, and the more good or evil the absorbed soul is, the more powerful the demon that absorbed the soul will become. And since from what Izuku says that guy All for One is the embodiment of evil. Pandemonica. Realize, this means Satan is becoming, on the Queen's level. AFO. Starts to fade, what are you doing? Satan. I'm so sorry, AFO, I sincerely enjoyed teaming up with you, but it was inevitable. I would have done it even if our plan had succeeded. With that, All for One's body disappeared completely in a cloud of purple particles which were immediately absorbed into Satan's hand. Once every single particle was absorbed, the demon's veins began to glow with a purple light. Satan began to growl in pain as his body writhed and grew. It grew so large that Stolas had to take steps back. The horns on its head became longer and more pointed, its fingers turned into long, sharp claws, a mouth full of sharp teeth appeared on its face, and another pair of wings even grew on its back under the ones that were there before. Satan. Look at his body, oh yes, oh yes. This is something I like. Look at the group, and now, I think it's time for a new management of hell. Lucifer. Guards, get rid of this traitor. The guards simply took one look at the large demon towering over them and made the simultaneous decision to run away out the front door. Lucifer. Oh come on. Is this a joke? Why isn't anyone following orders? Satan. He chuckles. Oh don't worry my dear Lucy, very soon your guards will follow orders, indeed. All hell will follow orders, but not yours, my orders. He makes fire appear in his right hand, since from today, I am the king of hell. Lucifer. Don't make me laugh. Judgment. The high prosecutor nodded and threw the chains at the great demon, who simply caught them in midair, then chuckled and squeezed them tightly until they shattered into 1,000 glowing pieces. Azazel did the same and his chains were bitten and changed color from cloud white to ash black. Izuku leapt into action and ran towards the demon before jumping into the air and hitting him in the face with 30% of One for All. But even though the blow landed squarely in the face, Satan didn't move a muscle. On the contrary, the demon smiled wickedly and grabbed the green-haired human by the throat, holding him in midair. Immediately all the girls prepared to react. Lucifer's eyes lit up. Azazel in judgment created more magical chains. Modius made his giant hammer appear. All three Cerberus growled ferociously and the rest of the girls prepared to fight, even Justice sensing the situation. Satan. Oh how cute, but it won't be enough. So the demon of wrath snapped his fingers and from his fingers came out a shock wave so powerful that it sent all the girls flying against the wall, making them moan in pain. Izuku. Tries to break free from Satan's grip. No, leave her alone, you damn bastard. Satana. Guard Izuku. Oh yes my dear little boy, the time has come to absorb your soul. Izuku. What, Satan? Well you see, with the soul of All for One I have undoubtedly become stronger than Lucifer, but not stronger than an archangel or a high seraph. For this I need an extremely pure soul, namely yours. His free hand begins to shine. Addio Izuku Midoriya. But suddenly a small green portal opened behind Izuku and a monstrous hand grabbed him and dragged him into the portal before he could be absorbed by Satan's power, who was shocked by what had happened. Satan. What? It doesn't matter, I'll find him later. Look at Stolas. Stolas, go to the Circle of Wrath and gather my army. It's time to make the news official that the new king has arrived. Stoles. As my lord wishes. He takes flight and breaks through one of the windows in the room, flying away. Satan. And as for you, he looks in the direction of where the demon girls were but sees that they have disappeared. Well this is inconvenient, but it doesn't matter, they can't escape from me. Ha 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 ha. When Izuku opened his eyes again all he could see was black, black everywhere. Every direction he turned, right, left, down and up, everything was just black. Izuku. Hey, he looks around, is anyone there? Lucifer, Monica, Modius. After a few seconds of silence someone answered, the UA student, or rather something. From the shadows below him, a huge tentacle covered in red eyes emerged and tried to wrap itself around the human, who promptly blocked it with the black whip he used to hold the tentacle still as it flailed violently, trying to free itself. The hero, however, did not see that behind him another tentacle had emerged from the shadows and was about to attack him, but suddenly a very loud monstrous roar was heard. The tentacles, gaze and that of the green-haired boy turned towards the source of the noise and saw a massive figure towering above them. This figure was a large demonic monster with features similar to those of a fly. It has 3 pairs of clawed arms, insect-like wings that it uses to fly in the void, and a face that resembles that of a fly. The 2 tentacles emit a disturbing hiss and rush towards the new creature, which dodges the tentacles. attacks and with the use of its claws cuts off the tips of the tentacles which emitted a screech of pain and retreated into the darkness from where they had emerged. Izuku watched in horror as the insect creature gazed upon him, which made him prepare to attack but stopped when the being began to speak. Oh, did you see that, man? Those tentacles were like raw, and then I came along and I was like, take this, claws at nothing, and then they shit themselves and went back to the main body, you see right? Izuku. Yes, fantastic. It would have been extremely boring if I hadn't seen it, but it's worth saving for you anyway. Izuku. Saved, yes, twice to be exact, once by Satan and once by Leviathan. Izuku. So you brought me here, wait, did you say Leviathan? Like that one here spoke to me, Justice. Of course, look down, points down with one hand. The green-haired boy looked down and noticed something at the bottom, a sort of glowing green circle. Inside this sphere there were lines that formed some sort of bars, and inside this circle there was massive eyes, claws and tentacles that were trying to get out of the cell. Pretty disgusting, right? I stuck it in there when I was imprisoned here. You know, a shapeless monster that wants to devour and destroy everything in sight is not exactly your ideal cellmate. Izuku. I can imagine. Anyway, I'm Izuku Midoriya and you are. Oh, how careless. I didn't even introduce myself. The years of captivity didn't do me any good. I'm Beelzebub, the Big Fly, former director of the Circle of Gluttony, the Exiled One, and a lot of other cool and intimidating names. Izuku. Oh, and why am I here? Beelzebub. I brought you here because I need your help, and you might need mine with the whole satanic coup situation. Izuku. Really? Looks down at the roaring Leviathan. See, can we talk about this somewhere else? Beelzebub. Oh, but of course, my dear. His body begins to glow. As the body of the large fly glowed, it changed and shrank, taking on a more humanoid appearance. After a few moments, where once there had been a terrifying insect monster, there was now a beautiful demon girl with short white hair and crimson irises, a spiked tail, white horns, and what appeared to be chitin spikes protruding from her hair. She wears an almost entirely crimson outfit, complete with a black tank top, a crimson vest, crimson gloves, and a long crimson jacket. She wears numerous pendants, bracelets, and fly-like jewelry. Beelzebub. Follow me, I know a place where we can discuss things safely and where you'll feel more comfortable. After about 2 minutes of floating in absolute nothingness in complete silence except for the inhuman roars and noises that the Leviathan was producing from its cell, Izuku, guided by Beelzebub, reached a sort of medieval castle that stood on a small island floating in the void. Pretend the background is completely black. Izuku. Wow, look, Beelzebub, is that place yours? Beelzebub. Smiles proudly. Yes, it's both my property and my creation. You know, when you're stuck here for so long, you can develop a little creativity to pass the time. And besides, I was tired of sleeping floating in the middle of nowhere, so much the better, in a comfortable bed. Izuku. Lands on the island, I guess that makes sense. The two then entered the castle. The interior was quite beautiful, with walls of a dull red color, with sofas, chairs and other nice-looking furniture. Beelzebub sat the green-haired boy down on a small table and she sat down on the opposite side. Beelzebub. Cross your fingers. Okay, now, I think it's time to talk a little business, don't you think? Izuku. Yes, why did you bring me here? Not that it bothers me, obviously, but why me? And why only me? Lucifer, Melina, Azazel, Monica, Modius, Cerberus, Judgment, Strata, and Justice were also there. Beelzebub. I know well, my dear, the fact is that if I had brought Lucy and someone else here they would not have been exactly cooperative. Izuku. He's starting to get suspicious, really. And could you tell me why? Beelzebub. You see, a long time ago when Hell was still more or less young, Lucy and I were good friends, but over time, bites her lip slightly, let's just say we drifted apart a bit, especially when she started officially reigning as queen. Whispers. Even if between us, it's not really lost. Stops whispering. As time went on, I admit I became a little jealous of her and started to think that I would have been a better queen, and I may have tried a coup to become the queen of Hell. Izuku. Oh, Beelzebub. Yeah, it was a bad idea, to put it mildly. Justice finally stepped in when he was still the High Prosecutor, kicked my ass, and sent me here. Hundreds and hundreds of years have passed since then, and besides the arrival of the Leviathan, nothing has happened here, and I'm bored to death. But then, I sensed your arrival and started watching you. I saw how you'd made a lot of girlfriends, sees Izuku blushing brightly, and then I saw how Satan attempted a coup like me, but this time succeeded, so I saw an opportunity to finally get out of here. Izuku. Tilt your head slightly, and what do I have to do with all this? Beelzebub. Simple. Satan gained a lot of power by absorbing that all for one guy's soul, but he's still not invincible. If you, Lucy, the new High Prosecutor, and I join forces and fight him simultaneously, we have a good chance of defeating him. The only problem is, Lucy wouldn't agree to free me if I asked her to, which is why I need you to do it. Izuku. And why would she listen to me of all people? I mean, she and I met about half an hour ago. Beelzebub. Well, the answer is easy. I noticed the way she looks at you. She likes you. Izuku. Turn as red as a tomato. What, please? Beelzebub. Yes, she's interested in you. I mean, I don't think she'd be willing to leave hell for a vacation with some random human, which is why I think she'd be more willing to accept the proposal. You tell us. So what do you think? The UA student thought for a few seconds before giving his final response to the big fly's proposal. Izuku. I accept. I hope Lucifer will accept. I think after millennia you have learned your lesson. Beelzebub. Smiles. I sure learned. Snaps his fingers and a portal opens. Now go. This little guy will take you straight to Lucifer and the others. If it goes badly, it was nice to meet you. Izuku. Gets up from the table and walks towards the portal. It was a pleasure for me too. Beelzebub enters the portal. As soon as the human passed through it, the portal vanished into thin air, leaving the exiled demoness alone with her thoughts. Beelzebub. Thinking, I'm starting to understand why this kid has attracted so many girls, he's so damn adorable. Izuku went through the portal and found himself in a room full of weapons of all kinds, and in this room were Lucifer, Azazel, Pandemonica, Justice, Judgment, Melina, Modius, Strata and Cerberus. Cerberus, all three, they see Izuku and jump on him happily. The master is back. Pandemonica. Oh, holy fire. Izuku, are you okay? She inspects him for injuries. Melina. Where the fuck were you? You gave us a fucking shock. Modius. My man has come back to me. She hugs him and rubs her cheek against his. Azazel. A miracle. Thank you, our Lord God. Strata. Hey, are you okay? Satan really humiliated you earlier. Judgment. You were summoned by the Great Fly. What did that traitor want? Justice. Izu. How wonderful to feel your presence and have confirmation that you are alive. But suddenly Lucifer's voice calms all the other girls. Lucifer. For my father's sake, give them some space. He picks him up from the floor and wipes some dirt off his clothes. There you go. Now tell me, my dear Izuku, what did that whore want? Izuku. Are you talking about Beelzebub? Lucifer. Look up at the sky. I'm obviously talking about her. Besides the Leviathan, she's the only prisoner of the void, and she's also the only one capable of creating portals, even though she can't pass through them thanks to a bond created by me and the High Prosecutor. Izuku. Oh, well, to answer your question, she told me she wants to help us. This surprised many of the girls except Azazel, who was taking note of Izuku's testimony. Lucifer frowned at the human's statement. Lucifer. Help. From her. She's obviously lying. Believe me, Izuku, you don't know what Beelzebub did to deserve exile. Izuku. Actually, he told me. Lucifer. Open your eyes a little. Did he do it? Izuku. Yes, she told me that you two were once friends, but then you grew apart, then she tried to overthrow you and was defeated and banished. Justice. Smiles with nostalgia. I still remember that fight. He was beating that girl like crazy. He punched me so hard that it hurt for weeks. Lucifer. That is strangely accurate. I thought she was going to lie to you to make me look like the bitch and her the victim. Izuku. Beelzebub said that he wants to help us stop Satan. He said that although he became extremely strong when he absorbed all for one soul, but he is still not invincible. Lucifer. It's clear, otherwise he would have already gone to heaven to challenge God, but anyway we don't need his help. I can fix Satan without any problem. I know Beelzebub made a mistake, but I think he genuinely wants to make amends. Melina. Cross your arms, but if he kicked our asses? And if you could have beaten him, why did we retreat here? Pandemonica. With all due respect, Your Highness, adjusts his glasses, but I fear Izuku is right. Satan has now become extremely powerful, we need all the help we can get. Judgment. My lord, I hate to contradict you, but it's true. Satan has become even more powerful than I, but if you and I combine our forces with those of the Great Fly, we might have a chance of victory. Justice. Come on Lucy, give B another chance. I have to admit I miss B a little bit. Lucifer let out a small growl of annoyance. Deep down he knew it was true, but admitting he needed help really bothered his pride, which was literally his defining sin. Lucifer. He lets out a heavy sigh. Okay, I'll give this thing a chance. Izuku. Smiles, thanks Lucifer. So the Queen of Hell looks at an empty corner of the room and lays her hand, creating a transparent circular portal. From here you can see Beelzebub, who is sitting on a chair with a glass of wine in her hand. Beelzebub. Smiles, hey Lucy, haven't seen you in a while. Lucifer. Crosses her arms frowning, yes. Izuku says you want to help us. Beelzebub. Gets up from his chair, you guessed it. I want to help you put that hothead Satan back in his place. Lucifer. Oh really? When Satan does it, it's a problem, but when you do it, it's not a problem. Beelzebub. He takes the smile. Lucy, listen, I was wrong. I thought I could be a better queen than you, but after years of you running hell so magnificently, I realized you would be a better ruler than me. I'm sorry. Lucifer. Surprise, are you sorry? Beelzebub. Yes, I'm sorry. I want to make up for what I did. I'm the only one who can give you a chance against Satan. Don't do it for me, but for hell. The Queen of Hell remains silent for a few seconds and then lets out a growl of annoyance and puts her hand in the portal, passes through it, grabs Beelzebub by the shirt and throws her out of her castle into the void. Beelzebub. Wow, looks around. Oh my. It's so good to be back. Look at Lucifer. Thanks a lot, old friend. Lucifer. Hold back your enthusiasm, we're no longer friends, just allies. Beelzebub. Look at the other demon girls. Oh, girls, I've missed you so much. Strata. I missed you too, B. Hell wasn't the same without you, Smoke. Beelzebub. And the void was a scentless shit without your cigarettes. Melina. I barely noticed the difference. Beelzebub. Mocking tone, obviously you did. Cerberus. All three. Hi Beelzebub, I missed you. Beelzebub. He caresses the heads of all three of them. I missed you too, you troublemakers. Pandemonica. Adjusts her glasses. I hope her time in prison has made her reflect on her actions. Noble Beelzebub, it's still nice to have her on our side. Beelzebub. Formal as always, P. You didn't get your coffee, did you? Judgment. Let's be clear, you're a traitor. I don't trust you, but I can tolerate you as long as it helps stop Satan. Beelzebub. Wow, I see some new faces. I like your Azazel note, spirit. And who are you? Azazel. Greetings, fly demon. I'm Azazel. I hope to learn a lot from our meeting. Beelzebub. Nice to have a little corner on the C Justice team. J. Justice. Smiles, hey B, glad to hear you've got your head together. Beelzebub. He realizes that Justice is blind. Damn. I didn't think that asshole with the tentacles would have made you so bad. Justice. Yeah, but well, it's the hazards of the job. You're still wearing that ridiculous red shirt. Beelzebub. Fake offended tone, ridiculous. Oh come on, J is top-notch sheep's wool. The two burst out laughing and Beelzebub hugs the fantastic demon, who gladly returns the hug. Izuku. Smiles at the scene and then looks at Lucifer. So, what's the plan? Izuku. So, what's the plan? Soon after, the entire room fell into a rather awkward silence for almost a minute until Pandemonica let out a fake cough to get the group's attention. Pandemonica. I would have a strategy of action. Melina. Well, he spits it out then, takes a sip of beer from the bottle. 1 hour later, the scene shifts to Satan's fortress in the Circle of Wrath. Satan was sitting on a throne of bones and flesh. Next to him was Stolos and before him were bowed 10 skeleton demons. Satan. So, did you find the rebels? Skeleton Demon 4. No sire, we're doing our best. Satan. His eyes are glowing red, then do even better. Don't rest until you find those sluts and that human brat. Hey Satan, get your ugly ass out of that dump you for some reason call a castle. The horned demon hears those words and rises from his throne and begins to fly with Stolas out of the throne room to the castle's entrance gates. What he saw was Melina with a microphone in her hand. The microphone was attached to a huge stereo with Strata sitting on top of it. Melina. Oh, teasing tone, so you have the balls to come out. Satan. It's getting closer at 2 o'clock. Melina. Strata, where are Lucifer and the human? Strata. Sorry Satan, but I don't answer uncomfortable questions, I let my lawyers do it for me. Satan. Snorts, listen up, bitches. If you tell me where they are, I'll let you live and be part of the new hell that will come with my official ascension to the throne. Ah. The horned demon didn't have time to finish because Modius appeared behind him and crushed his tail with his hammer, causing the crushed part to explode into a bloody pulp. Stolas let out a monstrous screech and took flight to kill the demon of lust but was struck in the head by a bullet, dying instantly and plunging into the lava. The bullet was fired from Justice, who was holding a sniper rifle with Pandemonica next to her adjusting her aim. Justice. Did I hit Satan's neck? Pandemonica. No, but it still caused damage. Justice. Returning to the main fight, Satan turns sharply towards Modius and attempts to punch her, but she manages to dodge by a few centimeters. Then the demon snaps his fingers and the ground begins to shake and stone spikes emerge from it that threaten to impale Modius, Melina and Strata, who fortunately manage to dodge. Satan. Pissed off, you just signed your warrants to what? Suddenly, energy chains from both Judgment and Azazel wrap around his legs and wrists. The demon tries to free himself, but since they are both angelic chains and the High Prosecutor's chains, it takes him a little more effort, even though some cracks appear on the energy metal. Another sniper rifle shot is fired, this time hitting Stana's shoulder, creating a hole from which black blood comes out, which regenerates after a few seconds. At the same time, Modius hits Satan straight in the head, breaking the tip of one of his horns, while Malama and Strata run towards him and start stabbing his back with daggers. Cerberus also joins in and jumps on Satan and begins biting and scratching him violently, even tearing off pieces of skin in the process. After another shotgun blast hits him in the stomach, Satan lets out a loud roar that stops the assault of the demon girls, who cover their ears with their hands. With an effort, the demon breaks the chains and tentacles sprout from his back, along with his wings, which wrap around Melina, Strata, Cerberus, and Modius, lifting them into the air. Satan. Stop playing. Did you really think you could beat me? Strata. Ahahahahahahaha. You're such an idiot. Satan. Satan. Confused. What the fuck are you laughing at? Melina. Haven't you figured it out yet, idiot? We shouldn't have beaten you. Modius. But only distract you. Cerberus 1. Say. Cerberus 2. Fucked. Cerberus 3. Asshole. Before Satan could retort, Lucifer appeared behind him with a scythe in his hand and cut Stana's tentacles clean off, freeing the demon girls. The King of Wrath growls in pain and turns towards the Queen of Hell, but she moves away, revealing Izuku behind her, who punches him straight in the face. Izuku. Activate 1 for all, 55% Detroit Smash. The blow is so powerful that it creates a small shock wave that sends rocks flying around. Satan flies a few meters from the blow, but then Beelzebub appears in his monstrous form and grabs him in midair and throws him violently to the ground. Beelzebub. Did you miss me, Satan? Because honestly, I didn't. So the big fly opens its mouth wide and from it comes out a swarm of carnivorous flies that envelop Satan as he begins to get up and begin to bite him, especially his wings. Satan opens his mouth wide and begins to breathe fire, burning the flies. He then tries to take flight again, but his damaged, still regenerating wings make it impossible. Judgment appears before him and punches him, but he dodges the last one and hits her with his hand, sending her flying into the air. However, another rifle shot, this time hitting him in the throat, prevents him from continuing and forces him to focus his regeneration on his vital area. Izuku runs towards him and punches him in the stomach using 59% of 1 for all, making him spit out blood, the demon tries to punch him but Azazel and Judgment block his hands and legs with dozens of chains using all their strength to ensure they don't break. Lucifer landed behind him and cut off his wing with his scythe, causing him to shriek in pain. Lucifer, don't worry, it only hurts for the first few decades, I know that from experience. Stana growls in pain and anger and then strikes the queen with her tail, but immediately afterwards Beelzebub, in his humanoid form, lands on her back and stabs her with a red crystal sword. Another shot from Justice's rifle, which incredibly never seemed to miss its target, hits Satan's torso, puncturing his pancreas. At the same time, Izuku punches the Wrath Demon right in the face with 62% of One for All. The pain in his arm is almost unbearable and the UA student can feel his arm bones shattering, but he doesn't care. He has to keep going, he has to. Satan. A thundering, demonic voice, it just is. The gray demon frees himself from his chains again and slams his hands together violently, creating a shockwave so powerful that it makes the entire circle of wrath tremble. Izuku and all the girls were thrown a few meters away and landed on the hard, rocky ground. But Satan was certainly in a much worse situation. His gray body was covered in blood and all the wounds he had inflicted were healing very slowly as there were so many of them that he couldn't heal them all at the same time. Satan. Heavy breathing, you, little, bastards. I will win this battle. The demon suddenly felt something inside him, something that was destroying him from within, something that was taking control. Suddenly Satan's entire body was covered in cracks and after a few seconds part of the skin on his face began to peel off, revealing a red human eye, pale skin and a tuft of white hair. The eye watched the green-haired boy intently as the rest of the skin on his face crumbled away to reveal a smile full of white human teeth. Izuku's eyes widened in horror as he watched Satan's skin slowly peel away, revealing another being in the red light of the circle's sky, one more damned familiar. All for One. Satisfied tone, that's much better. All for One felt so damn good. Sure, it had been pretty bad that Satan had betrayed him and absorbed his soul, but now that he had full control over the demon's body and powers, he felt even more like a god than he'd ever felt before. All for One. Garda Izuku, Lucifer, Beelzebub Judgment, well. I guess I should thank you for your help. Izuku. Shocked and with a shaking voice, what? What are you talking about? How are you here? All for One. Chuckles, oh come on. Did you seriously think I was completely gone? I admit, being absorbed and trapped inside a demon was unpleasant, but it takes a lot more than that to get rid of me. All I had to do was wait for you to damage Satan enough that he couldn't resist me taking control. To say Izuku was scared was an understatement. He had seen what All for One was capable of during the fight he had with All Might during Bakugo's rescue mission, but now that he had both the body and the powers of a demon. Lucifer. Listen to me carefully, mortal, I am the queen of this place, and if you think you can. But before the queen of hell could finish her sentence, AFO teleported in front of her and grabbed her by the neck. The queen does everything she can to free herself from his grip, but AFO is 10 times stronger than Satan's. Of course Beelzebub, Izuku and Judgment rushed at villain number 1, but from his back appeared 3 long arms covered in strong bony plates with clawed hands that grabbed the 3 by the throat and lifted them into the air. All for One. Tightens his grip on Lucifer's neck. I fear you are not fully aware of the current situation. Your Majesty, I am not immortal. I am the true king of the demons. I am the great and powerful All for One. Judgment. He tries to free himself. Leave her alone, you damn bastard. You're guilty. Guilty. Beelzebub. Trying to free himself. I usually don't have problems with particular kinks, but I don't really appreciate these things. Izuku. He hits the hand holding him by the neck with 35% One for All with no effect. Why you won't win. I'll stop you. All for One. Oh right. I was enjoying this new form so much that I almost forgot about you, and One for All. Hearing this, Izuku began to struggle as much as possible, but to no avail. In fact, other arms appeared from AFO's back and blocked his arms and legs. But suddenly a bullet hit AFO's eye, distracting him. Justice. Reload the sniper rifle. Did I hit him? Pandemonica. Look at the worried scene. Fortunately yes. Immediately after, Modius throws Lucifer's scythe, which had fallen to the ground, against All for One's back, managing to cut off the extra limbs, freeing Izuku, Judgment and Beelzebub. All for one. Ride. Oh. I see your little friends have joined in the fun. How cute. Melina and Strata stand at a safe distance and throw their knives at All for One, but they bounce off the Demon King's skin as if they had struck the hardest stone on earth. Cerberus surrounded the villain and jumped towards him, but he teleported away, along with those he was holding by the neck, causing all three to crash into each other. Azazel summoned the chains that wrapped around the body of the number one villain, but he didn't even seem to notice them, and if he did, it didn't seem to bother him. In fact, after a couple of seconds, All for One makes his body enlarge, making the chains explode into 1,000 pieces. All for One, but I fear it is also a useless thing, blows up. Once it reaches a certain height, AFO begins to levitate in the air and its left arm begins to mutate and become larger and covered in spikes, other smaller arms, and rock formations. Pretend AFO has a different appearance. All for One. It will be fun to play with you like dolls as training for what will be the main event. Izuku. What are you talking about? All for One. I intend to complete what Satan had in mind. Lucifer. Wait, you don't mean. All for One. Yes. I intend to conquer hell. Then earth and finally, look up, heaven itself. Lower your gaze in Izuku's direction. All I need, is you, your soul, and of course one for all. Izuku. No. You won't do it. I'll stop you. All for One. Soride. Hey, you are more than free to try. Hero Deku, you were not the one who wanted to save everyone, with a smile. Not to judge of course, but you don't seem very good at your job. The UA student charged up his power ready to charge at All for One, but the voice in his head made itself heard again. Don't do it, that's what he wants. He's provoking you on purpose. Lucifer, observing the situation carefully, gritted his teeth and quickly closed his eyes, only to reopen them, but this time they were completely white and bright. At that exact moment, everyone present except All for One found themselves with a white portal behind them that quickly sucked them inside towards an unknown destination. All for One. What? Yet another portal formed behind Lucifer, but this didn't suck the demoness inside. Instead, Lucifer began walking backwards, willingly entering the portal. Lucifer. It's not over, bastard, enter the portal completely. AFO watched the portal close as Lucifer stepped fully into it, remaining silent for a few seconds before letting out a long sigh. All for One. Well, I guess I'll have to wait a little longer to get the one for all. Smiles, I can wait. Meanwhile, in a dark alley of a city, a white portal opened, spitting out all the demon girls plus Azazel and Izuku, who moaned in pain from the impact with the rather hard ground. Melina. What the fuck happened? She rubs her head. Justice. Hey guys, can you describe this place to me? Izuku. Sure, he looks around, on Earth. Lucifer. Yes, I used my powers to transport us to the mortal realm. All for One has become extremely powerful, more than I imagined, but fortunately he still has to get used to it, so I don't think he will be able to create portals anytime soon. Izuku. I'm at home. Smiles. I'm at home. Pandemonica. Looks at him smiling nervously. Well, I guess we made it in the end, which means you have to bring me some coffee now. Lucifer. I'm afraid the coffee will have to wait. Look, Izuku, I know it sounds like an alien phrase, but bring us some of your clothes. The scene now shows us Izuku, Lucifer, Azazel, Justice, Judgment, Melina, Strata, Beelzebub, Cerberus, Modius, and Pandemonica sitting in front of a desk, all in the UA principal's office. And on the other side of this desk was Principal Nezu, who was simply drinking a cup of tea as if nothing was wrong, and to his left and right were All Might and Aizawa, who were quite shocked. Aizawa. So, let me get this straight, these days you disappeared, you ended up in hell. Izuku. Yes, All Might. And the girls with you are demon girls. The girls. Yes. Azazel. Although to be picky, I'm an angel. Aizawa. Indicate Lucifer. You are. Lucifer. The devil. The king of the underworld, or rather, the queen of the underworld. Lucifer. Exactly, and then someone will have to explain to me why everyone in the human kingdom thinks I'm male. All Might. But at the same time, All for One also ended up in hell, and now he has fused with an extremely powerful demon and has taken control of hell. Izuku. Yes, unfortunately. Aizawa. I don't get paid enough for this shit. Nezu. Look at him. I'm afraid your monthly salary has nothing to do with your student Shota's misadventure. Izuku. Principal, Sensei, All Might I'm sorry I couldn't stop All for one, now he's become even more powerful and could arrive here at any moment. All Might. Puts a hand on his shoulder, don't be hard on yourself Midoriya, none of this is your fault. Nezu. And from what you've told us, you managed to fight Satan and survive a reborn All for one almost unscathed in the same battle, which is not a given. Lucifer. That's right, dear, if you have to blame someone, blame Satan. Judgment. And, clench your fists, as soon as this situation is over I will make sure he is stripped of all his royal titles and he will be lucky if I decide not to banish him into the void to keep the Leviathan company. Justice. Oh, always ready with the sentences I see. Judgment. She blushes slightly, I'm just doing my duty Supreme Justice. Izuku. So, look Nezu, what should we do now Principal? Nezu. Drink a sip of tea, I'm not completely sure yet but I know what you should do now my boy. Izuku. What do you mean? Nezu. Go back to the dormitory, regroup and reassure your classmates who have been extremely worried about you and get some rest. Izuku. Uncertain, but, Lucifer. The principal thing is right, as I said AFO probably still has to get used to operating Satan's body and abilities to the fullest, so we still have some time before he figures out how to activate portals to the living world. Izuku. Well, look Nezu, is fine, but how do I do with, point to the demon girls and Azazel, they. Nezu. Well since they helped you and can be very useful to us, they can stay in your class's dormitory. If I'm not mistaken, there should be some extra rooms that can accommodate them. Tomorrow morning we will have a special training to prepare for All for One's arrival. Azazel. Good, this way I can also study some human culture to further my diploma. Melina. It's better for you if there are video games. Cerberus 3.5 happy, with the new lair. Strata. Smoke a cigarette, I can't wait to mark my territory by beating the bigger guy. Judgment. I demand that Supreme Justice and His Majesty Lucifer be given single rooms. Justice. Oh how kind of you Judgment, but I think I'll have to get a roommate since I'd be falling on my feet in an unfamiliar place. Modius. Sad, what an injustice, I wanted to sleep with Izuku. Pandemonica. He adjusts his glasses, well I suppose that would be fine, I just need to be able to have a coffee for breakfast. Beelzebub. Well, I hope for your sake that you didn't do the pest control this week because I'm a smile and point with my thumbs, pest. At this point Izuku followed by all the girls stood up and left the principal's office. As soon as the office door closed, Nezu's smile disappeared completely, replaced by a frown. Nezu. He turns to All Might and Aizawa. Shota, Toshinori, we're facing a threat that Japan, no, the world has never seen before. Aizawa. We know, what do you intend to do? Nezu. Look, Aizawa, contact all the strongest heroes in Japan and the world and tell them to come here as soon as possible. Look, All Might, you contact David Shield and ask him if that armor project of his is complete and operational. All for One will definitely want One for All, and there's no doubt that as soon as he figures out how to leave Hell, the first place he'll go will be here, that's why we must prepare, for a war. After a few minutes of walking, the group finally reached Izuku's class dormitories. Beelzebub. Look at the buildings in the city, wow, humans have really evolved in terms of construction since the last time I saw them. Judgment. Yes, if that's the case they also evolved from a military point of view, in those periods there was a boom in arrivals to Hell. Lucifer. Read the sign, Class 2A. Izuku. Yes it's my class. Strata. Let me guess, there's the bully, the one dedicated to the rules, the dark emo and the pervert who's always trying to spy on girls. Izuku. He looks at her in surprise. How do you know? Strata. Shrugs, is an immortal classic. Izuku. Anyway, touch the doorknob, please, don't scare them. They'll probably be scared enough when they find out you're mostly demons. Justice. Gives the thumbs up, contact us nice. Cerberus all three, thinking, finally. We will be able to corrupt humans. Azazel. Writes in the notebook, I'll do my best not to make your friends uncomfortable. Pandemonica. I just want my coffee. So the green-haired boy sighed and opened the door to find himself in the main room of the dormitory where all the members of his class were present and looking at him in pure shock. Izuku. Hello guys. Class 2A. Midoriya, Midori. Nerd. In a nanosecond the green-haired boy was enveloped by a wave of teenagers, some standing around him and others hugging him. Ochako. Hugs him. Deku. Oh my goodness. We were so worried about you. Bakugo. Correction. They were worried. Cross your arms. I didn't care. Kirishima. Midobro. I'm so happy to see you again. Tenya. He moves his arms like a robot. While I'm extremely happy to see you again, Midoriya, I absolutely have to ask where you've been. Mina. Yes, Midori. You had completely vanished into that demonic circle. Pandemonica. Pentagon. Mina. The guard. Pandemonica. Look at your nails. The scientific term is pentagon, not demonic circle. Finally all the teenagers noticed the group of girls who had entered with Izuku. Mineta. Look at the girls foaming at the mouth. Oh, and who are you beautiful ladies? He gets hit by Suyu's tongues. Ouch. Strata. He whispers in Melina's ear. See, here's the pervert. Melina. Yes, you were right but don't brag about it. Kirishima. Midobro. Who are those? Izuku. Slightly nervous, is a long story. A long explanation later. We can now see Izuku and the demon girls plus Azazel sitting on one couch while Class 2A was sitting on the opposite one, all with surprised or shocked expressions on their faces. Momo. So Midoriya, when you appeared you ended up in hell. Izuku. Yes, Shoto. And they point to the girls, are demons, point to Lucifer, and she is the devil. Izuku and Lucifer. Yes. Ochako. Point to Azazel, and she's an angel. Azazel. Smiles, exactly. Tenya. And the villain who fought All Might during Bakugo's rescue mission had also ended up there. Izuku. Yes. Jiro. And now the same villain has absorbed the power of another demon and taken control of hell. Izuku and the girls. Unfortunately, yes. Ochako. This is a lot to swallow. Mineta. Thinking, why did Midoriya have to end up in hell and meet all these girls? Izuku. Luckily he hasn't figured out how to open portals to Earth yet, so we still have time to prepare. The principal said there will be special training tomorrow. Lita. I see, then we'd better get some rest, it's already quite late. Your companions can sleep in the empty rooms or, if necessary, here in the Great Hall. Melina. Finally, I'm a peace. Izuku. Pensando. Wow, they took the fact that they are demons or angels pretty well. But at that moment a certain person came back to the green-haired boy's mind. Izuku. Wait a minute. How are you, Pope? Immediately everyone turned towards the source of the voice and saw a little girl no older than 7 years old with beautiful and adorable red eyes, long light blue hair and a small horn sticking out of her forehead. She stood in the doorway of the corridor and looked at Izuku with tear-filled eyes. Izuku. Gets up from the couch. Eri. Dad. Runs towards him. The little girl immediately crashed into the arms of the ninth one for all bearer, clutching him as if he were about to disappear at any moment. You were crying, Dad. I missed you so much. I thought I'd never see you again. Izuku. He strokes her head. It's okay Snowball, I'm back and I don't intend to leave you. Lucifer. Look at her. Oh, and who is this one? Izuku. Breaks the hug. Eri, I want to introduce you to the people who helped me get back. I introduce you to Pandemonica, Modius, Cerberus, Melina, Strata, Azazel, Justice, Judgment and Lucifer. Eri. Look at them. Hello sir. Thank you so much for bringing my dad back to me. Smiles. Immediately all the girls felt their hearts expand when they saw that beautiful little face. Pandemonica. Thinking, oh holy hell that smile is inhumanly cute. Modius. Thinking, that smile, so innocent, I can't stop staring at it. Cerberus all three too cute, I can't find the strength to try to bribe her. Melina. Thinking, damn. I can't show that I think she's the cutest thing in the universe or Strata will torment me for the rest of eternity, but this brat is really cute. Betrayal. Pensando, oh my what a little ball of cuteness. Look at Melina who is trying to remain impassive, oh, I can't wait to tease her about it. Azazel. Thinking, oh dear. I didn't know young humans can reach, or even surpass, the cuteness level of cherubs. Justice. Thinking, damn, even with my blindness I can sense the cuteness of this adorable little girl. Lucifer. Thinking, wow, what a cute smile. It reminds me a lot of Eve before she received the apple. Judgment. Thinking, I think she's simply adorable. Beelzebub. Thinking, wow, did I really miss hundreds of years of human cuteness? Damn. Izuku. Look at them. So, do you want to see the rooms? The girls in unison, they're recovering, what? Oh, yes absolutely. So the girls from Hell plus Azazel are taken to their rooms where they will spend the night while Izuku returns to his room and sleeps close to his adoptive daughter. Meanwhile in Hell, we can see All for One on top of a stone hill, and in front of him were hundreds of armed and armored demons. And at their head were of course ranks and ranks of skeleton demons who had clubs and shields in their hands. All for one. Put your hands up in the air, demon friends. Tell me, aren't you tired of this life? Aren't you tired of living in this dark hole that is hell? Demons in unison, yes. All for one. Don't you want to taste the fresh air of the mortal realm? Or even better, live like royalty in heaven? Demons in unison, yes. All for one. In that case, join me. I will lead you to a new and glorious future. Are you with me? Demons in unison, yes. All for one. He holds out his hand to his ear. I didn't hear well. Demons. In unison, roaring at the top of their lungs, yes. All for one. Smiles evilly, perfect. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.